You're listening to the Tar Pit Podcast, presented by Heels on Franklin. If this episode hits the mark, do us a favor, like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support keeps the podcast rolling. You can find all episodes on the Heels on Franklin YouTube channel and on Spotify. So whether you like watching or listening, we've got you covered. Let's get into it.
Welcome into a fresh new season of the Tar Pit Podcast, now presented by Heels on Franklin, as Troy gets his chug of Sprite.
I'm ready.
He's ready. The voice is warm. He's already done basketball tonight. Welcome in, fellas. Welcome into all the viewers. Do us a favor, no matter where you're listening from, whether it be on Twitter or where are we out, sir? YouTube. Yeah. Do us a favor. Share this video out. Give us a retweet right now. Comment on YouTube. Let us know where you're listening from. We got Big K in the chat already. He's been lighting it up already. Yes, today he tapped in for Olympic sports at 4. I'm sure he was there for basketball earlier. We got Devin already. Devin says, "Good evening."
I love this comment. I love this comment.
I found the Tar Pit Podcast around this time last year when y'all were doing these position breakdowns. We have come full circle. Super excited to be talking football. Yes. So what is this? How did we get here? This is the Tar Pit Podcast presented by Hills on Franklin. This is our room by room, position by position group breakdown. One episode. We've timed it out where we will finish 2 weeks prior to Carolina football kicking off in Ireland. Let's go round table quickly, see how everybody's doing. I tapped in with JJ earlier this week to see if you want to join with us. I think I got a heck yeah or a hell yeah. I can't remember, but let's start with Troy. Hell yeah. Let's start with JJ. He's already unmuted his mic. JJ, how we doing tonight, my guy?
Doing good, man. I'm glad to hop back on the pod. It's been a while for me, just being able to chop it up with the guys, talk some UNC football. I'm really excited about this season, and I'm excited to really break down what this secondary looks like tonight.
Yes, sir. I think we got a lot to talk about, some good things, some question marks potentially. But JJ, I do want to say I really appreciate your vulnerability. And what I mean by that, if you haven't seen the latest thing from JJ, he put out a reel on his Instagram, and I absolutely loved it. It's very rare these days that you get people with transparency. Vulnerability is something that I honor and I try to lead with my life. I know the guys here at the Tar Pit Podcast and Hills on Franklin, before you came on with us, JJ, Troy and Trevor and myself, we would stay on sometimes an hour and a half episodes, chopping it up about life, struggling with mental health, things like that. I'm sure we're going to have some of those episodes in the future with Troy as he is becoming a dad in about a month from now. Troy, how are we feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. It's been a whirlwind of the last couple of weeks, doing this podcast thing, doing my real estate stuff, and also simultaneously juggling, trying to get the house in order as little man's expected in July. Technically July 14th, but when everybody asks me when he's due, I'll just say July. Sometime in July. He could come early, he could come a little bit late. Although if my wife's listening, I'm not wishing for that because I think if he came tomorrow, she'd be all right with it. But just getting the house in order, man. I'm excited to be back with you guys tonight. I'm excited, Chris. I texted you the other day or last week when we went live for Heels on the Hardwood. I secretly wish that you were joining us tonight because I just miss being around the guys, man. Jumping on here, chopping it up about Carolina stuff that we're all passionate about and that we love. Excited to have the JJ Jones back with us tonight. What up, Five? Excited to see you, boy.
What up, brother?
Yes, sir. and glad to be back with my boy Trev. I know Trev's like me over there. Got the Canes game off to the side. You ain't slick. I've seen you around.
We hadn't filmed in so long. I was a little nervous tonight. I was like, "What is this, man? I gotta knock the rust off, boys."
Yeah, I believe this is Mr. Dobson. I think or Kent. We saw him. Did we see him on Instagram earlier?
Yep.
You follow us?
Yep.
Appreciate you being here tonight. My guy Mike in the chat.
So we got one thing for Trevor tonight. He's got one duty tonight other than helping us break down this DB room, which I think is full of a lot of talent and potentially some surprises here. I think we're going to see some freshmen play early. But before we do that, We know the Canes are playing right now, and we appreciate everybody that is tapped in. I don't have it up because I am relying on one person tonight, and that is Trevor. When you see Trevor, hopefully we're going to see it a couple of times, do this towel. That means a goal has been scored for the Canes. I believe it's 0-0 right now, right?
Right.
All
No
right.
goal. We had a power play and we blew it. So no goal right now.
So it's a very important game as the Canes trail the was it Golden Knights? I don't really pay attention to hockey until it playoffs start, I'll be honest. So starts twirling the towel. You know what's happening. So Trevor, how we doing? How we feeling about your responsibilities tonight?
Doing good, man. I'm gonna Troy's gonna help me out in case I miss it. Troy, we'll have a secret signal. You just let me know. I'll start winding it up. But feels good to be back, boys.
Vegas just scored apparently.
Oh no, well we need to light it on fire then. I guess we'll burn it. Now
I'm behind.
Yeah, I'm behind too. I haven't saw that yet, but it's good to be back, boys. JJ, I got a question for you, man. Before we jump into all these guys, I know you've looked at all of them. I saw when I sent the notes last night at 1 a.m. You were right in there right away. Out of all these players, I think we got like 18. Which one of them's locking you up? Any of them's able to lock you up, or no? None of them.
Absolutely not. So I know that. I love all these guys. I played with some of these guys, love them to death, but they couldn't lock me up then. They can't lock me up now. But that's just respect. Respectfully.
I figured that's what you'd say. I just had to ask.
Of course not.
I don't want to put Trevor on blast, but Troy, JJ, do you feel like his mic's a little loud on my? Yeah. It's a little loud on my end. Yeah. You might just want to turn that mic down a little bit, Trevor. Push
one of my 8 kids in my house probably got in here and started turning things.
There you go. That's good right there. Not gonna lie, I love your voice, and it's butter smooth, but it was bleeding my ears there for a minute.
Hey, little technical difficulties, a minor setback for a major comeback. It's been a minute since we all been here.
Yeah, but hey, been a minute for all this groups, but Hills on Franklin's been cooking.
We have, yep, sure have. I just went live with Jaden on Hills on the Hardwood before Tar Pit kicked off. That's super exciting. Lots of good things going on with the Mike Malone there year one. Just tell JJ want to get him on Hills on the Hardwood. Tap into his basketball mind, covering the Hills with Field of 68.
Yep, we're covering Carolina Olympic sports as well with the Carolina. What's the name of that show?
Carolina Olympic Spotlight.
There we go.
With Mr. Jeff Blackwood.
Yep, and then we covering Hills on the Diamond with Andrew.
Good episode last night. Go back and watch it if you haven't tapped in. Lots of good insight. Chapel Hill Super Regional this weekend.
We got an article that just hit with our latest commitment. It's got over 30,000 views already. Jeff giving me a hard time and come on, man. I know, man. I gotta be
so many now. It's hard to keep up with all that's going on, right?
I know. I gotta lock in. Lock in, Jeff. My bad, Jeff.
Hey, I'll tell you though, nobody. I will say this with confidence. Nobody is covering as many Carolina sports within the Carolina space as Hills on Franklin.
Yep, definitely to the extent that we are doing it. Some definitely mention it, right? But to the extent we're doing it, I don't think anybody else is doing it, and that's okay. We're not in competition with anybody. We are who we are, and we roll how we roll. If you don't like us, you don't like us. You can kick rocks. If you ride with us, you ride with us.
You sound like Jaden now.
we are a family over here at I almost said the Tar Pit Podcast. This is a Tar Pit Podcast, but Hills on Franklin. Boys, I think we kind of chopped it up here. 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in. Devin said y'all are doing a fantastic job. I appreciate that, Devin. Let's get into this. Tonight, we are breaking down the defensive back room. I expect this episode to be about an hour to an hour and a half. Lot of names, but we're going to do our best to be concise and to the point on each name. But you know how it is here at Hills on Franklin and the Tar Pit Podcast. Just like all of our shows, sometimes we take side roads, and that's okay. That's why we're different than everybody, as we are all our family here. Like when we meet some of you guys out in public, you know a little bit about us, and we know a little bit about you. So we're going to do round robin. I'll call on somebody, and then we'll go name to name. If you don't have anything, you just let me know, and we'll keep on rolling. Starting it off, we got number 18, Jaden Patterson. This is a guy that we didn't know coming into last season, but we definitely knew coming out of last season. I think this is the dog in the room. This is the guy that's going to be leading the room. This is the guy that I think if you're an opposing OC or offense that you need to scheme away from. I'm going to go JJ first. Jaden Patterson finished off the year with 34 tackles, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups through 12 games played. I'm going to ask you a specific question. What can we expect from Jaden Patterson this year for the Tar Heels?
For me, especially when I was playing with him my senior year, just his athleticism and his speed, his ability to catch up, whether he's playing man or he's playing zone. He was one of those corners that you knew you had to actually run routes really well with, because he could catch up with you if you're just trying to run a vertical downfield. He had the speed, he had the size to jam you a little bit. And so I remember me and him, he was on scout team my senior year, so me and him would at it probably the entire season. I gave him hell, but he was also giving me a lot of good reps too. But again, this is one of the guys who definitely will be a defensive captain in the room. And it's just amazing to see his progression, because like y'all said, really didn't have that big of a name last year heading into the season, but he did what he had to do. He paid his dues, and now it's time for him to really be the head of that defense and make some good plays.
JJ, I think this is a good question for you. You spent some time with him when he was on the scout team. You were a senior. You gave him hell, like you mentioned. You got to see him firsthand, right?
Yep.
Does it surprise you, right? Be honest. Does it surprise you seeing him doing what he did last year when his name was called, and he kind of switched positions as well, right? First mainly as safety, then having to play corner when Thad went out. And I don't really think we skipped a beat at that position. If not, it felt a little bit more fluid at that position, in my opinion. Are you surprised by how well he played last year?
I genuinely will say I'm not surprised, just because I know his background. He played at Mill Creek, which is a powerhouse high school down in Georgia. He's been able to make plays. He played really well against some of the top talent in high school. And he was going against a lot of solid guys too while he was on scout team at UNC. So it really doesn't surprise me. He's always had that size, that athleticism to him. So for him to flourish, it genuinely doesn't surprise me that he played as well as he did. He just had to pay his dues. He's a young guy, but now he's one of the upperclassmen in the room. And now he's got to be able to lead the younger kids, that's the only thing I'm worried about, is seeing if he's going to be able to take on that leadership role of helping out the younger guys while also still trying to perform on the field.
Yeah, Troy, 6'1", 195. What do you think we can expect from Jaden Patterson this year?
I'm looking for him to continue to build off what he did last season. Obviously, he was thrusted into a role that was a little bit unexpected with Thad going down, and we really didn't know what to expect. I think the Cal game was maybe the first game that he had started for Carolina, truly started, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody in the chat knows that for a fact, because I'm second guessing myself as I say it. But nonetheless, he was a guy that we didn't really know what we were going to get when he was thrusted into the role that he was put into when Thad went down unexpectedly. So I'm looking for him to build off what he did last season. Obviously, he had a very impressive showing, surprised a lot of people. I think what surprised me a little bit is the longevity of what he was doing and the production that we got out of him. He didn't really, you saw a steady climb with Jaden last season when he started to get more playing time and an increased opportunity. And you talk about a guy that was ready when his name was called. I mean, that's football 101 right there. I mean, be ready when your name's called. You never know. It goes back to the old school days. Don't take your helmet off on the sideline. You never know when your name's going to be called. And he was ready when his name was called, took the opportunity. And JJ, you made a point, man. He's considered a leader in that room, in my opinion. And y'all know how I feel about the Rude Boys. I mean, I love them, but they can be a little suspect to me. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. We gotta tone them up on what the definition of a Rude Boy is. I'm just saying, but I got high hopes for the unit as a whole this season. I think there's a lot of potential there. Chris, you said it at the beginning. A lot of freshmen are probably going to take on some increased roles. But what better guy to have mentoring him than this season than Jaden Patterson? It's going to be very exciting. I'm excited to see him take that next step.
Trevor, I want to come to you. Troy left off with, take that next step. I think that's important. I want to go to what stands out on tape. I know you spent a lot of time prepping notes, looking at film from last year, going into this year. When you look at his tape from last year, what stood out to you, and what areas do you feel that he's going to just continue to improve on?
I think that with him, man, he's so smooth. He's fast. Obviously, we mentioned that he's got the speed, but he's smooth, man. I go back. I've mentioned this a few times on our pod, but I go back, boys, and you brought up a good point, Troy. As the season got longer, we got into the Duke game, and we got deeper in the season. He was just getting better and better each week. And you mentioned it, Chris. When Thad went down, it was that Clemson game. Jaden was already playing some, but when Thad went down, he had to really get thrown out there. And Clemson, JJ, them boys, they got some good receivers over there at Clemson. And that game didn't go, obviously, we the way we wanted, but Jaden, it wasn't Jaden's fault, right? He stepped in there, he held his own, he played very well. And Thad was a guy that NFL, went to the league, signed a year, unfortunate injury, but it didn't seem like we missed a beat when Jaden stepped up. And I go back to that Duke game, boys. That's where I was going to go with this. How smooth he playing the ball. So that's the biggest jump, right? I think that we're going to see more interceptions from him this year. I think he's going to make more turnover-worthy plays, and his ball skills will be a little more refined this year. I noticed last year as we went throughout the year, it seemed like his confidence grew. And when you see someone speaking, and Jaden, we talked about this last year too. Jaden's one of the guys that first spring availability, it's Jaden, one of the guys speaking, right? And we said this so many times last year. Those guys that are talking to media, they're probably doing something right? We already knew that for Jaden, but I think he is, to answer your question, JJ, hopefully that shows he's kind of taken on that leadership role, right? He's one of the first guys out to speak to the media. But I think that's going to be the big thing that I watching his game, he looks so smooth, man. There's not really a weakness with his game, but I think he takes a leap this year where just not only more game reps, more experience, but the confidence growing. I think we're going to see more plays on the ball, because Jaden was always in the right position last year. He always made he always held his own, no mistakes from him. And I think he's going to have a breakout year. And I think he's a guy that, can be an all ACC team player, right? He can grow. He's, we mentioned he came in as a safety and switched over to corner because we needed him, and you couldn't really tell. So I'm very excited to see what he does this year for us.
With that switch that he had, it also shows how intelligent he is as a player, as a young player like that, not going into the season, but in the middle of the season or somewhere early on in the season, having to make that position switch that he did so smoothly to what Troy said, right? Have your helmet on the sidelines, because you never know when your name is going to be called. And
my bad, Chris. I thought you were finishing your thought. Go ahead, buddy. I'm so sorry.
The only thing that I would add there for Trevor, if what he says doesn't come true from that aspect of that more interceptions, is because that teams are starting to scheme away from him. I think early on in the season, you're going to see him tested, because that would be the smart thing to do, right? For OCs, hey, was that just a fluke year, or is this someone that we can test and that we can actually win reps against, right? If not, you're going to start seeing his name being called less and less. Before we go to Troy, I'm going to get you in here for one last time on Jaden.
Yeah, I wanted to make mention, Carolina had put a post out. They've been releasing reels or videos of players mic'd up during practice. I think Ship had one. Jaden Patterson had one as well. And there was one specific moment in that clip of him being mic'd up that really stood out to me. And we talk about his, the role that he played last season, kind of, like I said, building off what he did last season going into this season. But one thing that can't be ignored is him, being that leader in that room and one of the leaders on this team. And there was a specific moment in that clip. I think he got beat on a route or something, recovered really, really well. We had a comment in here, Jaden fast or whatever. He's got wheels. He recovered and made the play. And coach was like, good job, way to recover. You recovered, you made the play. He's like, yeah, that's a bad rep. And was hard on himself. So I think that's something that can't go unnoticed. And I can't, when we talk about Jaden Patterson, his increased leadership role within the team too. And specifically for that room, because guys, y'all know it, out of the freshman class, the defensive back, the secondary was the most. I mean, we brought in the most recruits out of any position in that group. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So you need a vocal leader. You need a leader in that room. And I like that specific part of that mic'd up series. I wanted to make mention of it.
And surprisingly, only added one through the transfer portal, which we're going to talk about here shortly. All good things, guys. Do us a favor. If you're listening over on Twitter, give this stream a retweet. It goes a long ways in supporting this platform. He also doesn't mind hitting guys. Not talking about Troy to me, but
I want to give a shout out to my
Jaden,
grandma.
Oh, Deborah Dean in here. Love it.
My grandma.
Grandma tapping in, getting to know these DBs.
Hey, she's a diehard. That's where I get my fandom from. Is my two people I would credit my diehard Carolina fandom from is my dad and my grandma. I will not lie to you there.
There we go. Well, my granddad's a Duke fan, but we'll forgive him. All right, next up is number 16, Trey Miller. Again, that was Jaden Patterson that we did first. Trey Miller, defensive back, 5'10", 180. He is a junior. I think most people could agree this is one of the more experienced returning defensive backs in this room and on the roster. I think it's also safe to say that he's not the biggest name on this roster, right? But he's the type of player, that a team needs, right? A defense needs someone who understands the system already to teach those younger guys, to teach that one transfer portal guy that's come in this year. He's going to be coming into this year that knows his role, knows his position on the roster, and can be counted on, of course, when his name and number is called. Troy, tell us a little bit more about Trey Miller and what we can potentially expect his role to be in this system.
Yeah, so last season he played pretty sparingly. Career high 2 tackles at Virginia. Didn't really get a lot of burn, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I lied to y'all. 12 tackles, 6 defensive stops, 1 missed tackle, 117 defensive snaps. The snaps that I gave you just then were his 2024, his redshirt freshman season, so I apologize about that. But he's a guy, like you said, Chris, and where I was really going to go with it is you look at, I talk about Jaden being a leader in the room. The same could really apply to Trey. I had made a comment in a group chat. I think it was maybe amongst us or someone, on Twitter. Somebody may have asked me, who is a guy in the secondary that I think could, stand out. And to me at the time, it was Ty Adams. I thought he would have been a guy that could really, been there for a while, been in the room. I think he was a Mac Brown guy, if I'm not mistaken. Had been around the program for a bit. He was kind of a dark horse for me to really kind of take a big step this season, but he departed from the program, if I'm not mistaken. So that immediately, if I'm not, did I see that right?
I don't know, because JJ looks super concerned or confused right now.
I thought I saw that on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to verify that.
Verify. Jesus.
No, I swear to you, bro. I saw a post on Twitter that said he was no longer with the program. I'm not lying to you. JJ, if you got his number, text him.
Who you talking about, bro? Who you talking about right now?
Ty Adams. Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But nonetheless, Trey Miller's that guy for me. He got some snaps last season. Another guy that could easily make a bid for an increased role, like you said. Be ready when your name's called, kind of situation. He's been around the program, knows how to go about, knows how things are done. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk about, the foundation and the process and just going about a certain way. Trey's been around the program for a few seasons now, and he knows what to expect and how to go about things. So I'm looking for him to maybe have a more increased role this season. We talk about a guy opposite of Jaden. He's maybe a guy that can make his bid for some increased playing time.
I had a kind of
it bothers me about the Ty Adams thing.
No, I think isn't he the one that went to state?
No, he didn't go. Davion Goss went to NC State, but this was a post more recently about Ty Adams. I thought he had
you do
left.
your verifying and digging there while I go
It's
to
okay,
JJ.
bro. It's hard to keep up. There's so much turnover in college football right now, bro. It's hard to keep up.
I will say I kind of had a smirk on my face because I was looking at JJ. He looked concerned when you were talking, and JJ, I've come to learn that JJ is a man of facial expressions. And I think we all just had a glitch. All of us had a glitch in that moment on the podcast together. And Big K says, if you got his number, call him. And he says, never change, Troy. So props to Troy.
So I did go back and see it. Our good friend Shelby Swanson.
He's calling him. He's calling
of the News and Observer. Shenard Clower and defensive back Ty Adams left the UNC program following the conclusion of spring practice.
Yeah.
So I thought I saw that on Twitter. But that goes back to my point. Ty was a guy that I thought could make a bid for an increased role, somebody that's been around the program for a while. He's no longer with us. Trey is a guy, you look at his production that he had last season, he's somebody that I think could easily slot himself for, an increased role opposite of Jaden. Because I think we can all agree that Jaden's going to be, one of the starting corners on this team, no doubt about it. We got to find a guy opposite of him. Dad's not there. Marcus is gone. Somebody's got to step up.
Yep. JJ, let's talk about tape. For him, what stands out on tape for you? I know for me, I think some of the things when looking at his tape is someone with quick feet and easy to change of directions. What else do you notice when you watch his tape?
I mean, like you just said, like that's what I've seen when I played against him as well on tape. He's super quick. He's one of the fastest players we had. At least when I was playing, he always was up in the highest miles per hour category every practice. And again, looking at his tape also, they did move him around a little bit. He's had corner a little bit. Then you have him in the nickel spot. So it's kind of hard to find that perfect position for Trey. But again, he always had this feistiness to him. And I'm not going to say little man syndrome, but it's kind of like that.
I've heard that term before.
Jesus.
Yeah. Like
I've heard that term a time or few.
He has to prove he has this big chip on his shoulder at all times. And he wants to go out there. He wants to play hard. And on film, he's also telling guys what to do. So he's great at communicating. And that's at least what I've seen on tape and what I've seen in person.
I just feel like we had one of those moments when Trevor was like, Troy, you played D3. JJ, you played D1. So you played legitimate ball or something like that.
It wasn't that harsh. I did not go that harsh. But
that was an all-time episode. That was an all-time moment of the Tar Pit podcast right there. I'll never forget that day.
Troy just got up and left.
We got to find that clip.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I said, but I know it wasn't that bad, Troy. I ain't gonna do my dog bad.
I made it a bigger deal than it probably was. Should have been.
All right, so talking a little 2026 outlook here for Trey Miller. Headed into 2026 here at the Tar Pit Podcast. We see Miller definitely being an important piece here for this in the secondary. Wouldn't expect to him to lead the team, more so in tackles or interceptions per se, but someone who's going to be a leader in the room, put his head down, work, and someone that, players, coaches appreciate definitely because he can consistently get his job done. I think that he's going to be a valuable piece for the position group there. Let's talk Caleb Koss, defensive back, 5'11", 195, been around the block or two, right? He's been here for a while, super consistent. For Caleb Koss and Trevor, I'll turn it over to you to get the first dibs there. I feel like I've always been – I'm going to try to be careful how I say this because he's been super consistent, right? He's been good, right, for this team, for many years now. But it feels like for me every season I'm looking for a little bit more. Right. What else? I feel like there's something else that he hasn't shown us. And I know the saying, right? After 3 seasons going into his senior year, you shouldn't be expecting anything else. And I'm not saying I am. It's just that after every season, I just wish and had hoped for a little bit more from him. He is gonna put his head down, get those interceptions from time to time, which is super valuable. But I just want to see a little bit more from Caleb Cost. And I'm really hoping here in this senior year he can turn it on and hit that upper echelon value there. Trevor, talk to us about Caleb Cost. What can we potentially expect with him coming in, being the vet in the room?
Yeah, I mean, it's Caleb's senior year. You mentioned he's the vet in the room now. He's the guy that's been there. I want to say, got to be one of the longest tenured heels now. If you look at it from full tenure the whole time. So he is a guy that we saw when I'm with you, Chris. There's times where opposing teams would pick on him. They would motion, they'd get them in a matchup that they liked, and they'd take advantage of them and burn them deep, right? There was times that we saw that. But the thing I love about Caleb, too, is there's times where we've saw those flashes where he's had the pick six. He's had the crazy interception. He's one of the best athletes we've got on the team. The guy played baseball at UNC before going full-time in football, right? For Caleb, I love his athletic profile. I love when he hits a guy, but you hit the nail on the head. I would love to see him this year not have as many, what are we doing here? Busting coverage or get burnt from time to time. And I think that he's definitely got the ability to do it. And this is the time that we're going to need him, because there is so many freshmen in that room and so many guys that are inexperienced. And he's coming off a year where last year he played 480 snaps. He had 37 tackles, a interception, a PBU. But it's his time to kind of step up, because he hasn't been the flashiest guy in the room. I don't know if he will be, but I think that he's got to eliminate the big plays that he's given up at times, and I think that he's definitely got the ability to do it. I know one thing that I've noticed with these guys, I don't know if you guys saw, but I've added in their jersey numbers. Caleb was always 21, right? So it looks like he's going to be number 2 this year. I was wondering, because K2. So I'm thinking, JJ, y'all get a little something when your jerseys sell, right? So
yeah.
So if I'm a player, I might have to change my jersey number every year. So they got to get a new one every year, So I know that if you guys notice, we've got a lot of new numbers this year, guys with different numbers. So I just had to throw that out.
Well, let's throw this out there. You still got that Lopez jersey, Gio Lopez jersey, Trevor?
I am. I'm saving it for a special time, boys. We're going to go viral one day.
All right. Because he's been throwing a lot of shade. It feels like in little articles and stuff being quoted, and not taking a lot of responsibility. That's what I kind of took away from it.
Yeah, him and his daddy.
I tried to take my Carolina blue goggles or whatever that saying is, right, glasses off when I was reading some of those articles, and I still kept going away. I kept taking away with the same thing. Take some freaking responsibility, bro.
Yeah, bro, you sucked. It's all right.
He better put up. He better put up. If he don't put up, I'm coming for his head. We coming for him.
I mean, I'm not going to say dude sucked, because I do think, there's a lot that went into that whole situation.
I mean, you said it, bro. I'm just kidding.
I mean, there were at times where I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Run.
And I will say this too. Also, I don't understand it. In this era, right? You just got all this money. Why is your daddy in articles? And I use the word daddy for a reason there. Like, why is your daddy commenting in articles? Like, I would have my parents super far away from all that stuff. Like, let me just
turn the page, man. Like, didn't work out. Belichick's first quarterback. Just turn the page, dog. You reunited with your OC from South Alabama at Wake Forest. Go do your thing. I wish Gio all the best. I think there's a lot of factors that went into his unsuccessful season at Carolina. A lot of it he couldn't control. But I wish him nothing but the best in Winston-Salem.
See, Troy was right here with the Geo talk, right? And now he's had to bring it back up a little bit to finish that side venture road that we just took for Geo.
You had to get us on that rabbit hole, Chris.
Come on, and I think JJ gave me the face of I'm pleading the fifth, because I've been in the locker room and been around with him a little bit. So I definitely respect that. Troy, back to you. Talk to me a little bit on film. What stands out on film when you look at Caleb Cost? And I think you hit it on the head a little bit there, Trevor, talking about how OCs, a lot of times you will see them motion to his side, scheme him up because they've known and they've seen on tape. If you can get him in a vertical route, you can burn by him. If you can get him in a tricky situation, right, where he's going to have to shift fast, he does not have that vertical downfield speed. So he's somebody that definitely has to play his angles to top tier intelligence, I guess you could say, that you can to, have the best position on the tackle. Troy, when you look at film on Caleb Cost, what do you see?
I certainly see him needing and I'm anticipating him tightening up in his coverage this season. There's no denying the fact that he's got a nose for the football. Trevor, I think, and this may be a stat that, once again, I'll verify. Y'all give me a little bit. But if I'm not mistaken, he's got like 2 of the only pick sixes in recent Carolina history. Or recent Carolina.
It had been
seasons.
a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah. It had been a long time. But he's nonetheless got a nose for the football. I'm with you guys. I think there needs to be some tightening up in his coverage this season. Hopefully him switching his jersey number, maybe help out with that a little bit. We'll see. But nonetheless, I'm excited for Caleb Cost this season. I'm with you, Chris. I do feel like there's been, after each season that he's been at Carolina, I felt like you still getting a sample size of how good Caleb Cost can be. And I do think that, this is the time where I'm banking on him to actually take that leap and really solidify himself as one of the alpha dogs. And when I say alpha dogs, I mean one of those guys that's going to make plays. We talk about rude boys. Caleb Cost, by definition to me, would be the prime example of a rude boy. You got to go out there and you got to do it. You know what I mean? You got to go and you got to talk the talk and walk the walk. And there's been times throughout seasons where I do feel like he's left us a little bit short in some in some seasons, but nonetheless, he's a heck of a player, a heck of a talent. I think, him playing last season in the Steve Belichick defense, it only got him more comfortable. And like I said, I do think he needs to tighten up in his coverage some, but there's no denying the fact that he's a freakish athlete. He's got a nose for the football. I revered Power Echols for how he had just a nose and a knack to just go and lay the boom on some. I mean, I will never forget watching Vance in Richmond County play in the playoffs and Power just coming through the lane and just absolutely blowing Caleb Hood up. I mean, it was like one of them hits from like, God, like it was bad. And
that video is saved in my favorites in my camera roll. I shit you not.
Send it to me, bro.
Because you're good friends. You're good friends.
Because that's my dog, and I talk to him about that almost like every other week. I was like, that's one of the hardest hits I've seen.
He smoked Caleb, bro. I mean, right up the middle, straight up, shoulder pad, right into chest, laid him out. Caleb, I'm not knocking you, dog. I'm just saying. But I revered Power for how he didn't shy away from contact. I think Caleb's got that. He's very physical. He's not going to shy away from hitting a guy. And I know somebody in the chat said that about Jaden. I'm looking for him to really solidify himself this season as one of the alpha dogs on this Carolina defense. We got to have him.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to have him this year. I was going to skip you, JJ, as I don't know if you're paying attention to the private chat. I'm going to have you intro AD Willie here as he was our loan transfer. Trevor and I had the opportunity to meet his parents, great people. But JJ, I think first I want to show you this. I don't know because you did not have a reaction when I put it up there, but this was an all-time tweet by JJ. So that was him potentially pleading the fifth. He says, I've already put my word out there then, and I've moved on from that. Feels like anytime JJ tweets something that's semi-controversial, it goes like super viral within the football community.
Yeah, whether it be like a whole article about it, and I was like, yeah, let me hop off Twitter for a few days.
But I don't feel like we'd be doing justice to Caleb Cost if we didn't give you the opportunity to speak on him. You've been in the locker room with him for a long time, for a few years, and you've probably gone up against him one-on-one or cross paths with him in the secondary when running cross routes or whatever it may be. what do you feel like? I know you have to be careful, right? But okay, give me two things you feel like Caleb Cost does really well, and one or two things that you feel like you want to see him take that next jump in this year.
For me, I would just say, I'm not going to compare this to NCAA, the video game, but like spectacular play, spectacular catch. Like he's that kind of guy to where when he makes a play, everybody sees it. It goes viral. They're going to post it. It's one of those plays. Yeah.
Baseball. He's got baseball hands.
Exactly. So he's going to make those crazy plays, but it's just not consistent enough to where, he's going to make a play here and there. He's got beaten a little bit too. And I mean, I've saw this during practice. I'm not going to knock him. He's a hell of a player. He knows what he's doing. I think one of his biggest things is that he also wants to learn. He's kind of like a sponge. After practice every day, he was working on catch technique, whether somebody's going to release left, release right, trying to help somebody with a two-fade route. So the fact that he's willing to do that, even if he has a good practice or a bad practice, he wants to get better. And like everyone's saying, it's just we just want a little bit more, and I absolutely agree. I've been expecting him to be kind of that breakout guy since 2025, 2024. Like he has that potential. He has that talent to do it. And everybody in the room respects him. And they know that he's one of the best players on that defense. And he can make a lot of plays. But again, if you aren't consistent enough in making plays at this level, they went and got somebody out the portal that plays his spot. So it's going to be a great time looking in training camp, see who makes those better plays and is more consistent. Now, I'm gonna give Caleb a knock. He's probably going to start off first for sure, but he's got to be able to consistently do that. And I think that he knows that now, and he knows that there's people pressuring him, and he sees the media, he sees what everybody says, and he's going to go out there and prove everybody wrong this season. And that's probably my hottest take for this whole podcast. I think he's going to be an ACC conference caliber player this year.
Love it. Troy, well, JJ, I appreciate those thoughts there on Caleb Cost. Troy, I got some homework for you. Rev says, would Caleb Cost not be better used at free safety? That's going to be your homework. I want you to kind of, if you will, right? Not that I'm the boss or anything, but we don't have time to get to that question. So I know you kind of love digging into things like that. So maybe shoot Rev a message over on Twitter on your thoughts on that. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Rev. So we got you, man. We're going to get the question answered for you from Troy. AD Willie, let's talk about him. JJ, what you got? Loan transfer here for the DB room. We saw what left, and we saw what has come in. A ton of freshmen, one transfer, kind of his last shot here, right, at college ball. And I will be honest, I expected that this would be the room outside of the linebacker room, right, because we were so depleted, and we're going to talk about them, in the weeks to come as we do our position group breakdown. But this is another room that I thought that we would be heavily active in the transfer portal recruiting, right? And it didn't turn out that way. And I am super, super surprised. And I think that points only to one thing. They're either banking on him, or that we're going to have a lot of freshmen rotating in and out, because we can't be naive and not thinking no injury is going to happen at some point during the season. Definitely when you have both of your buys in the first quarter of the year, right? Like you're going to have some injuries and some people banged up, right? Eventually. And that's when we're going to start seeing some of those younger bucks coming through in the rotational of the lineup. AD Willie, JJ, what's your thoughts? I think you've already done a lot of study on him, as you just mentioned and alluded to. Plays similar to Caleb Cost's position. What you got?
Yeah, like you just said, for us to only really go and get one DB out the portal, I was just as surprised, because this is one of those positions where we need more talent, and we lost a lot of leaders and a lot of great playmakers that in the secondary. Like I said, I've done some research on him. He's, like you said, I hope that we're better. I mean, statistically, he doesn't jump off to me on paper. I mean, he had, I believe it was 12 tackles last year. He's kind of a backup and a spot starter when he was at Michigan State. No, he's a fifth-year player, so at this point, you have to understand football, and I guess he's going to provide that leadership as well. But again, I think he's going to be able to be one of those leaders in the room, like I was alluding to earlier. Him and Caleb kind of play that same position, that nickel spot or that inside corner. So I'm really surprised, and I'm really excited to see what they will do with him. I think he's not a corner, which he was playing corner a little bit when he was at Michigan State. I think we have those corner spots kind of solidified already. So I would like to see him more in that nickel spot and potentially even try to go and play a safety position back there.
Good stuff, Jay. Good stuff, JJ. Trevor, let's go to you. What stands out on tape for him? I think someone that's got good size here coming to Carolina at 6'1", 190. When you look at the tape and what's out there available to you for him, what mostly stands out of A.D. Willie at the defensive back position?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the size. He's 6'1". He's got a long frame, so he can challenge guys. I love that he's at Michigan State. He's kind of played all over. I want to say he got snaps at safety. He's got them at corner. He's been all over the field, so he's experienced everywhere. He moves well for as big as he is. He can move well. He's patient. He doesn't panic. And he's got athletic ability. He at one time he played at IMG, I believe. I was reading. I was doing some research on him, and I want to say that he ended up redshirting last year. I believe he ended up redshirting to save his year to transfer. I may be wrong, but I think that's one of the reasons his numbers weren't as high. But I think he redshirted before he transferred this year. I believe. I could be wrong there, but
he started. He started 4 games at Michigan State last year. Didn't like what the production was and ended up redshirting.
Yep. So he's a guy that we're going to need him. We've got a lot of young cats again, and he's played multiple positions. His number is going to get called somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be at K2 spot, if it's going to be at safety, but we're going to need him to show up and play significant snaps for us if we want to have a successful year this year.
I think what we're banking on here also to close this out for A.D. Willie is that potentially this is going to be a player, if he pans out the way the staff has brought him in to pan out, he is going to force snaps eventually to get on the field if he doesn't start out on the field a lot sooner than we're thinking. Let's go Javion Butts, number 24 here, defensive back, 6'1", 175 pounds, redshirt freshman. This is not a name, right, that a lot of Carolina fans would mention when you're talking about the DB room, right? But I think this is a DB here that potentially has a lot of potential to climb the depth chart. Troy, what you got on Javion Butts?
Yeah, I've ran into and came across Javion a couple times in person, man, and he's got a very athletic build. I mean, you can tell he's an athlete, and he played sparingly last season, appeared in the final 4 games of the season, so he retained his red shirt, finished the season with 7 tackles, made 5 solo stops and 2 assisted tackles. Funny enough, he had his best game of the season at NC State, contributing 4 tackles, and then played a season-high 21 snaps against Duke. So, I mean, he's a guy that last season he was one of those names that just kind of found his way into the rotation, you see the field some way, somehow, and it's not like he didn't contribute when he was in. So I'm definitely another guy similar to, Trey Miller, a guy that could come in who's played. He hasn't played as much as Trey Miller did last season, but nonetheless, a guy that's been around the program, knows how, talk about a foundation and buying in and building a foundation and developing a culture or whatever you want to call it. He's a guy that's been around the program and certainly a guy that could come in and give you serviceable minutes if and when he's called upon.
Yeah, good stuff, Troy. JJ, one of the reasons why I love having you on these episodes, not only because you're just an outstanding young man that you are, right?
Appreciate that.
Budding with potential in life and transparency and honor. Let me just fire you up right now, my guy. Is that for an episode like this, we're talking DBs. DBs because you go up against them all the time. And at some point, make a note of this. At some point in this episode, I know that here at the Tar Pit Podcast, we pride ourselves on teaching people the game, right? We developed that last year. That is a staple of what we try to do through our film breakdowns. I think it's something that we do well, right? And so I want at some point in this episode tonight to talk about when you're going up against a DB, what are some of the things you're looking for? Are they tipping their hat? Are they dropping their shoulder? Are they leaning backwards, side-to-side movement? What are some of the things you're paying attention for that kind of shows you how to move? And one of the other reasons why I like having you on these episodes is that you know what to look for on tape when you're looking at a DB and studying tape. For Javion Butts, what stands out to you for tape?
For me personally is the fact that he wants to come downhill and hit. I know as a receiver, when you watch, first thing I do when I watch tape is, one, are they giving tails? If they're playing man, are they, really pressed up? Are they giving me eyes? Are they trying to look off? Or if they're playing zone, are they giving us those kind of positions to where you know what coverage they're in? But also when I watch this tape, he could come downhill and he wants to hit. He wants to be in the play. And not a lot of DBs honestly want to go and hit people. Like, that's their job, is to cover guys. They want to fix, but they don't want to come down and hit. Safeties can hit, but a lot of corners can't hit well. But he's one of these guys on the defensive end who's still young, who's already has a great build, and even can put more size on him. But I love the way that he's aggressive. I love how he had, I believe what was his best game was against Duke, I believe.
Yeah, that was his most snaps, I believe.
Most snaps. I mean, playing in those games, and then, career high, like you said, 4 tackles at NC State. You can tell that, these are, I wouldn't even say high standard games, but especially within our conference and our rivalry at UNC, these are the kind of games where you want players out there who can help you win. And so for him to be out there, especially for those 2 games, it shows like the coaching staff was like, okay, we trust this guy at least enough to be playing in these games and making plays as well. It's one thing to go in and just be out there and just be a piece of one of the 11 players on the field. It's different when you go out there and you make these meaningful snaps, even as a young role player, because that's always a better thing. Because even if I was a coach, if the younger player is playing just as good as the older player, I'm going to play the younger guy just because he's going to get better and he has more potential. And I know that at these times, these young guys want to actually learn.
Great point, JJ. Or great points, plural there. I want to zone in a little bit on talking about the games that he played on the field the most, right? NC State, Duke, those were games not because of the opponent, because they were later in the year and they still meant something for UNC. Whether people want to say it or not, for coaches' stability at job, it matters to make a bowl, right?
Yes.
It still blows my mind that we were in that position last year and failed to reach a bowl, but we needed to win those games, and they put him on the field. So great point there, JJ. Trevor, want to come to you, young player here, still budding with potential. JJ touched on a little bit. When you look at tape, when you study Javion Butts, what do you feel like are some areas that he could still improve on?
I think the biggest thing with this kid and taking that next step is just experience. Valuable snaps, more in-game reps. Can he take that Jaden Patterson leap? The more reps he gets, can he take that next step forward? Because you mentioned it, late in the year, those rivalry games, man, those were big games. I know Mensah still went out and did his thing against Duke, but I don't remember Butts making a like, what are we doing? He may have, but I don't remember that against Duke, right? So he held his own. He wasn't scared. That was a packed house in Keenan, a game that we let slip away. I hate we didn't get that one, but you mentioned it, JJ. They trusted him, and I think he's going to get better and better the more experience he gets. He's another big corner, 6'1". He's a bigger guy. So I think that's going to be the biggest area. And it's not, he's going to learn the game more, but the biggest thing for him is just getting those in-game reps and experience. That's going to make it naturally play better.
Can I mention something real quick? Because I think this may add value. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll determine that here in a minute. But I do think, sort of what we got from Greg Smith this past season. I could potentially see Butts doing sort of the same thing. Maybe a little bit more production. We'll talk about Greg here in a little bit, but that's just kind of a comparison. I hate to really kind of compare teammates that are on roster together. You get what I'm trying to say? But sort of the production that we got from Greg last season, I would be content if we were to get sort of kind of the same production from Javion this season. To be honest with you, fellas. And Trevor, I'm like you. I don't really remember too many bonehead mistakes that he made when he was in the game. And he's a guy that, I remember a couple times during the season when we all sat together, you nudging me like, hey, Javion's in the game. He's a guy that we hadn't really seen a whole lot. So
we were like, who's that? Who's number 24? If he was number 20, I can't remember his number, but we look, oh, that's Butts. That's who that is.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I think it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how he does this season.
Troy, I'm going to come right back to you to do the intro for Coleman Bryson. I love the build of Coleman Bryson, 6'2", 210.
Yeah.
I saw him. He can lay some pops. He's not as scared. JJ did talk about, DBs a lot of times. They don't like to put their head down. They don't like to hit. There's not many, I will say, one of the legendary names out there, Sean Taylor. There's not many Sean Taylors out there. Well,
he's cut from a different cloth. I mean, there's That's why I was backtracking a little bit. There's not many of him at all ever to come along. But there's not many people there's not many DBs that want to put their head down anyway and spearhead a wide receiver in the chest or a
whatever.
punter in a Pro Bowl game.
Yeah. Right, I definitely remember that.
That's when the Pro Bowl actually meant something. People actually played.
Yeah, can we get back to that, please? Can we get back to the Pro Bowls meaning something? Also, Jackie Taylor, his daughter, plays Carolina volleyball. If you didn't know, one of the all-star players there for Carolina volleyball. Coleman Bryson, Troy, tell me a little bit about Coleman Bryson, what he did last year for Carolina football, and what we can potentially see from him in his last year of college football.
Yeah, finished the season with 17 tackles, 11 solo, 2 pass breakups, at least 1 tackle in 10 of 12 games, and then a season high 4 tackles against Virginia. Obviously, the numbers don't jump off the page, but he made the most of his opportunity. And he's a guy, man, that I've seen, in a couple group chats that we're in. We talk about question marks at safety on the back end of the secondary. He's a guy, man, that I think a lot of fans, I'd say a lot of fans, but more specifically, our guy Bill Belly 8 Rings on Twitter. He was blowing me up in my DMs talking about Coleman being, a bid for that sort of that safety role. And he's a guy, man, that I could very well see, taking that role by the reins and really doing something with it. Like you said, Chris, he's not scared of contact. Ideal frame. I think he transferred in from Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. And let me tell you something. Anybody that's associated with Minnesota's defense, I'm cool with that. I don't know what it is about those Minnesota, like Iowa's defense. Like they're just hard nosed, cornbread fed, just get it out the mud, coming to smack you downhill, and ain't scared of contact. And Coleman's a guy, man, that I think could really make a bid to see a good bit of production this season. It would not shock me. Chris, you talk about his frame. What we got, 6'2", 210. I mean, that's ideal. I mean, to me, that's ideal. That's ideal size for a safety, if I'm not mistaken. So correct me if I'm wrong. But
no, I think that's about right.
Yeah, he's a guy, man, that I've tossed this word out a couple of times, so it makes me want to laugh. I've sneakily kind of circled on my board. I'm like, this Coleman Bryson's he can make some noise this season.
Yeah, definitely. JJ, when you look at his tape, what do you see?
For me, it's not even having to look at his tape. He started when I played against Minnesota, I think first game of our senior year. So I have seen the tape as well, just because I had to watch the film on the Minnesota defense. And like Troy said, them boys can hit. So whenever he came to UNC, I remember some of the guys here were just like, yo, at practice, he lays down the boom. Like he's a hard hitter. This might be a wild take. I think he's kind of like a B grade Will Hardy, in my opinion. And it's because there's those kind of guys that are solid communicators, leaders, and that they're out on the field because they're not going to get anything wrong. They're not going to go out there. They're not going to make those crazy plays, but they're also not going to make any bad plays. Like you're never going to be like, oh, what is he doing kind of player. He does his job to perfection. So he's a real quiet guy who does his job very, very well. But I will say he is a little bit on the slower side for me, especially at safety. Watching him, he's gotten beat a couple times, and he isn't fast enough to really make up those steps, and he doesn't have that burst to really get back out there. But if he's able to know his plan, then he should be fine. Because in my personal opinion, if you know your responsibility, you know what you have to do. If you get beat, you shouldn't get beat if you know what you're doing. Now, pure athleticism, pure just being a better football player, I understand. But he's not the kind of guy to where he's going to be in the wrong position and has to make up yards or make up whatever he's got to get to the next guy. He's going to be the guy who knows what he's supposed to be doing. He's going to help some of the younger guys that are out there, which I think is going to be very, very valuable for this defense because it is so young. But yeah, he looks like a great player, and I'm ready to see this jump because, played pretty much as a backup last year to Gavin Gibson. And when Gibson came out, I think pretty good job back there. And so hopefully he takes that leap. And again, I know he's a hard-hitting safety because I've seen it in person.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you played against him in that first game at Minnesota that we actually won there on a last-minute field goal. So good point to bring up there, JJ, and also a positive point. Got to bring it in there for us. Trevor, let's talk about areas of improvement. What do you feel like, potentially what are some areas of improvement for Coleman?
Yeah, and real quick, before I go there, you hit the nail on the head, JJ, with Will Hardy, because we're going to need somebody to take Will's spot and be that guy on the back end that can line everybody up. And I think this cat can be our guy. Areas of improvement, I'd say we look at, that Virginia game. He had a season high 4 tackles. That was a game against Virginia where we were supposed to get our butt waxed. That offense kid was coming in. We were, down, but we held our own, and that was a game we should have won. But with him, I would love to see more splash plays. More. There was a play at Minnesota in a bowl game where he had a pick 6 for against Minnesota. I want to say he was MVP of that bowl game. I'd love to see that more here this year. We're going to need somebody to step up and make those big time plays for us. So that's what I'd love to see from Coleman, and for him to also take a leadership role with so many young guys in this room. He's got one of the, most snaps out of anybody in the whole secondary. So I'd love to see him take a leadership role as well.
Trevor, it sounds like all your kids and your cousins are having a great time back there.
About time for bedtime, right?
All good stuff. Anything last you want to add there, Troy?
I had a thought, but it escaped from me. So I guess I'm glad I wasn't the one talking on the mic just then, because I hate it when I do that.
It's all good. Coleman, I'm excited that he's come back. I think he's going to play a big role. I think we're going to have him play a big role if we want to have success in the secondary. And I think one of the biggest things for me is that I like that he was coming back because we knew that he was going to, be able to provide that.
Mute. I'm my bad.
It's okay. Provide that leadership role, right, for these younger players coming in. Let's talk about Greg Smith, 6'4". 215. You good, man. 6'4", 215. I love Greg Smith. We've communicated quite a bit with him through Instagram or Twitter or whatever it may be. I'm excited that we also were able to retain him when he hit the portal there, was considering it a little bit. Troy, talk to us a little bit about Greg Smith here.
Yeah, sorry about my coughing spray, man. I swore to you I slid my mic over to my mute mic and hit the button, but I guess it didn't mute me. So I apologize about that. Very big rookie mistake there. Rev said I was rusty. What did you ask me, Chris?
Talk to us about Greg Smith. What you got?
It's off season. We're getting it out right now.
Yeah, that's right. Greg's a guy, man, that I'm highly anticipating a big jump this season. We need him to. He was a guy that transferred in. I remember the excitement amongst the fan base when he committed from Florida. I think Mondo went down and paid a home visit to him. I think he was actually trending to go to Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, before that home visit, and Mondo sealed the deal and got him on campus. We saw a little bit of a sample size. I remember how excited I was when I saw him catch that pick against Charlotte. I don't know who was more excited for Greg Smith, me or Thad Dixon, because I remember watching Thad take off from the other end of the field and meet him at like the 50-yard line and just about bear hug him. So I'm excited for Greg. I'm glad we were able to retain him and get him to re-sign to come back this season. I know we had a little DM exchange that we all thought was pretty funny on I think he had committed. We had put something out, but he had commented and said I hadn't signed anything. And it was like, well, what does this mean? What do you want us to do, bro? It was just a pretty funny little moment. But what I would anticipate him this season is probably another guy that wouldn't surprise me if he's slotted for that other safety role. Whether you put him at the strong side or the free side safety, it doesn't really matter. It's just in that spot, I think you can get a lot of production out of him. Like I said, sample size this last season, played pretty sparingly, but got in the mix and did his thing. I think he got his feet a lot more wet last season than he did at Florida. And he was put into situations that he wasn't necessarily put in at Florida. And I think all of that combined with an offseason with Moses, and then, getting more acclimated to the Steve Belichick system and just how to go about doing things, I think he's poised for certainly a more increased role. But I think with that increased role, it would not shock me if we saw increased production out of Greg Smith, because I think the talent's there, the intangibles are there. I don't think he's a guy that, and I say this lightly because Greg, I think, has got that dog in him. But we talk about Coleman and his ability to come down and smack somebody. I think Greg, and what I'm more anticipating with him is his ability in coverage. I think that's that's certainly something that I'm looking forward to seeing in his game this season. Not just so much the physical aspect of him, but what he can provide being in the back half of the defense and coverage in that area. So,
love it. Trevor, I'm going to come to you for what stands out on tape, and then JJ, round out Greg Smith with areas that you feel like he can improve on. When I look at his tape, you definitely see the size, 6'4", length, ability to fill up space and coverage. Trevor, when you look at his tape, what stands out to you the most?
I mean, the size pops off, but he also covers a lot of ground. I remember watching some of the games last year. It was like there was a guy that was breaking away. It looked like it anyway, and then Greg closed it real fast. Like when he got those reps and we saw him, I believe it was the Cal game, we started to see him flash a little bit, and then later in the year he was the dude, man. It was hard to keep him off the field. But he's physical. I would love to see with his size him to be a little more physical, be a bully. You're 6'4", bro. Like, I want to see you like step up and be a bully. But he's shown flashes for us. Can he with these more reps step up and be a more consistent guy to make more flashy plays? He came in with a lot of potential. This was a kid that Florida didn't want to lose him. He was like their spring defensive player of the year before he transferred, like in the spring. And he had money, he had some teams coming for him. He entered the portal, and we thought we were going to lose him, and that one hurt. That was a guy we were like, man, we do not, because there was money thrown at Greg. And Mondo went back and wrapped that one up again. He brought him back again for a second time. So I would just love to see him take another step forward. But he's definitely got times where he is flashed for us. I think he'll be a big guy for us this year.
Good stuff. JJ, what do you feel like are some areas that you feel like he can improve on? We know there are some, still a young player, but I think we're all expecting him to take that next step. But what are some areas you feel like we can see him improve on?
I think Troy and Trevor both kind of mentioned it a little bit. He has that size to be a super hard-hitting safety because we know he can cover. I've seen look on the tape. I know he can cover well. He's fast. He has the physical specimen abilities to go over and make plays. But because he's so big, I want to see him be a bully as well because he's that big, and that's with that size. I know this is my second comparison, but again, I played against a guy named James Williams out of Miami. They are both kind of around that same size, a bigger safety who can come downhill. He was pretty good cover guy too, but he could come downhill and make a lot of hard-hitting plays. Now, again, I know we had in the notes, consistency is going to be a big thing because especially with these young guys who go out there and they make these splash plays, then they make these kind of splash losses as well to being like damn, what is he doing? He needs to do that. He can't be doing that. He's letting this up. So, like I said, another year under his belt, being more consistent and continue to go out there and get better and want to be a bully.
Got it. All good stuff there, fellas. He also got his first start against Wake Forest. Wanted to make sure we put that in there. Saw action in every game, so we're expecting him to take a pretty good leap of improvement here coming in this year. Let's talk about number 7, Peyton Waters, friend of the podcast, family's friend of the podcast, 6'1", 185, redshirt sophomore. I will say this, and this might be a bold take, and I say it's a bold take because it's not a name that we've heard a lot mentioned, right? Because he hasn't gotten a lot of burn. 3 tackles, 1 defensive stop, 30 defensive snaps, appeared against TCU, Charlotte, UCF, and Clemson. I would not be surprised by the end of the year, this is a name that most fans know. Not only because he didn't get a lot of playing time last year, right? And then you see him hitting the field this year, right? You do have that translation of, okay, I know who his name is, but potentially a name that potentially has one of the bigger leaps of improvement. I love his tape when I've been able to get the tape, right? There's not a lot out there, but from what I've seen, he's fast, fluid in the hips, can change the directions on the drop of a dime. Trevor, I'm going to come to you. Give me a little bit more of Peyton Waters. How are you feeling right when I say that? What's some of your gut reaction when you hear me saying that?
I think you're spot on. He's one of the guys that came over from Washington, and I want to say he's the only guy still on the team from Washington when Belichick got the job, right? He's the only guy that's still left. And I think that if he gets his opportunity, this kid is a very good ball player. You look at his film, he's smooth. He's really smooth on tape. He covers a lot of ground. He's had experience playing all over the field. And he looks like he processes stuff well. So I think you got a good take there. I think that Peyton could be a guy that not a lot of people are talking about that we could see, pop off this year. I know his mama's been a loyal supporter of us from the beginning, so I'm rooting for Peyton. I hope he does, and I think he's got a lot of potential if he gets his opportunity.
And I can see where some people might go, well, y'all are just saying that because his mom's been a big supporter of the podcast and he likes a few of our stories every now and then. We've communicated with him. That's definitely not the case. When you really do look at his tape, I feel like this is the player that's going to have one of the biggest jumps on the roster. And that might not be seen, or not, shouldn't say roster, but in the defensive, in the DB room. And I'm not going to say potentially by stacking the stats, right, or filling up the stats, but actually making an impact on covering who he's supposed to cover, knowing his role and completing his role in his snap counts that he's given. JJ, when you look at his tape, what do you see?
My favorite thing with me being a receiver, his ball skills. Especially going back to high school as well. I know because he doesn't have a lot of great tape in college. I want to go looking back and see what he did in high school. And he made a lot of plays. Ball skills were great. Coverage was great. Being able to come downhill and hit was great. But again, that was at the high school level. But also then looking, because last year was a lot more special teams reps, and I know that it's going to be like that for a lot of young DBs. But he is super, super fluid, like Trevor said earlier. And I'm excited to see what he can do now with these more increased reps, because this is going to be, I believe he's also going to compete for the starting one of the safety spots. And I think the last 4 guys we've been talking about, these are all legit contenders to potentially play at the starting safety position. And Troy, because he's such a great, phenomenal athlete, can attest to this. The fact that when you bring in other guys for one position and you want to really, really get that job, there's going to be competition. And the best player is going to come out whenever people are competing. Because I know for me personally, whenever I had to compete, that was the best time I played, because it's like, we're friends, we're cool, but I want to be better. I want to be better than you. I want to be that guy. And I think Peyton's going to have that opportunity to do that this year.
So, Troy, I want to come to you next. After that amazing words, kind words there by JJ, we're setting you up to have a great segment here with no coughing. The biggest challenge here potentially for Peyton is the experience, right? So what are some areas of improvement that you have him needing to improve on going into this year?
Well, first off, I think, with more of an increased snap count, snap share, however you want to put it, there's opportunity there to prove yourself a little bit more. We saw him get in sparingly last season. But I do think with what we've all talked about and the intangibles that he possesses, he's certainly in the need to have, serviceable guys in at that safety position. He's definitely a guy that I think can make a bid for some pretty significant playing time. If I had to point to some areas of need, I guess that's what you were asking me, Chris, or that needs some attention. Is that where
areas of improvement?
Yeah, areas of improvement. I'd probably have to. I don't even really know, to be honest with you. I'd probably say physicality. I remember specifically the Charlotte game, watching him, and he just looked maybe a little bit of a step behind, a little bit at times. So if I had to guess, it would be that. But like I said, you get more of a workload on you and get more of a consistent, routine and playing time. I think there's more room for you to prove yourself. I think we got a moderate sample size of Peyton Waters last season. I do think the potential's there. He's just got to see the field. He's a guy though that I think could be, like I said, a very serviceable contributor for us at that safety spot.
Yeah, there's a reason Belichick brought him here, and there's a reason he's still here. They're not afraid to tell kids to. Yeah, he hit the road. He's still here.
We've seen that quite a few times.
He's got it. And your guy, I want to say that's your guy, Troy. Michael brought up a good point. He played receiver. He's got excellent ball skills. Really athletic.
He was a athlete in high school.
Yep.
I definitely think he's a guy, man. I mean, we talked about it. That depth at that safety spot, we've got to have guys in the back end. And we've listed, JJ, you said it, we talked about two guys right there that could certainly make a bid for the starting safety spots. But you look at the guys behind him, or even guys that could compete. Jay, you talked about competing. Best guy's going to play. Peyton's going to be in that mix. I would foresee that, him being in that mix for that safety position. And competition's a good thing. Let's see what we got. Being one thing I will say about the staff is they've been, sort of open-minded about who they throw out there. At least they were last season. I mean, we saw guys get in that we were like, who is this? Just seeing what stuck, So I think going into this season, there's going to be some competition at that safety spot, and we're going to see who's going to come out at the top of it. It's going to be interesting come TCU in Ireland.
All good thoughts there, guys. Let's go number 23, Christian Dunbar Hawkins, 5'11", 185, redshirt sophomore. And yes, that last hyphenated last name, the last part, Hawkins, definitely rings a bell potentially for some people. He is the brother of Armand Hawkins. That is the DB coach there. So he is being coached by his brother. And his dad also very high IQ football family. His dad is definitely involved a lot in the game of football. As you know, his brother is the DB coach here at Carolina. So he's been around football his whole life. This isn't something where the dad or mom dropped him off at the football field and said, go hit somebody because you got too much energy at home. Right? This is a guy that's been around the game. The family loves the game. They watch a lot of it. So he's potentially got a lot of IQ around football. Transfer from UCLA. However, this isn't a name that Carolina has heard a lot of, right? Since he's been here. This will be his second year here at Carolina. JJ, what do we need to know from Christian Dunbar Hawkins going into this year?
The fact that the last name isn't going to guarantee him any playing time. Like that's the first thing off the board. What's the word? Nepotism? But it's kind of weird if it's your brother. So, but at the same time, it's like, the name and the face at this point. And again, he was at UCLA before. Now he's in North Carolina. He's seen guys in front of him make plays. And when you're a DB, I honestly believe being a DB is one of the hardest positions to play in football, because off rip, you're in a bad position. You don't know what the player in front of you is doing, and you have to be super athletic. So I think it's really good for especially young DBs like Christian to have time to adjust to the game and see what the older guys are doing, be able to take these notes. But again, he's a hell of a player. He's got a lot of good athleticism as well. And I think even because he has his brother there, his brother's been able to teach him off the field stuff. Like when they're not on the field together, I mean, they still got that relationship. So he's going to tell him like, okay, I wouldn't say he's going to tell him what he needs to do to become the starting corner, but he's going to give him tips like, look, this is what I'm looking for as a corner coach. This is what you need to work on. So more of I would say a role player depth kind of guy. We'll probably see him a lot more this year than last year. But again, he's like somebody said in the notes, more projection than production, which I thought was a great saying and a great take.
Yeah, all good points there, JJ. I'll finish this one out for us, and then we'll go ahead and move on to our next one. And I will preface this by saying, as we start getting to some of these next names, right, as we finish off this room, we're going to be talking about a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys that don't have a lot of tape out there. Also, we know that this coaching staff doesn't do anybody any favors as it relates to the media or people like us, right, putting stuff out there, highlighting certain things, being open practices, a spring game being open to the public, right? So it kind of puts some of us doing what we do at a little bit of a disadvantage, right? So we're going to do our best to kind of give our takes, because a lot of these guys are going to be going off high school tape, because we are going to be getting to some freshmen here very soon. But just to finish off Dunbar Hawkins here, good overall athleticism, really, with the tape that's available on him, smooth enough movement skills to play in space, experience at multiple P4 programs coming from UCLA to North Carolina here. I think some of the areas of improvement here is definitely is him having the ability to carve out a role, right? And I love what JJ said here is, just because what your name is doesn't mean that you're going to get playing time. And we saw that last year. And I'll be honest, we know Armand. He's super cool dude, super straight. But I think he's a guy too that you can know by talking to him. He don't put up with any shit, right? And he is not going to play any favors. He's going to put who he thinks is going to make the play and the best available on the field. And I got to say, he's one of the best recruiters in the nation. He just is. He's a dog. When he goes out on the recruiting trail, if I was recruiting against him, I would say, oh, crap. There's been multiple times that we've only gotten a kid, right, from high school to commit to us because of him. There's been a few guys in the transfer portal that we've gotten only because of him. Him flying out there, all the on 3, 2, 4, 7 or whatever, having their crystal ball predictions in for a kid. And then all of a sudden you see a commit post because Armand Hawkins flew all the way out there, right, and took a picture with him, put it on social, and he committed. So areas of improvement, like I said, is just carving out a role, right? Can he make that happen? There's a lot of players in front of him, like a Jaden Patterson, Greg Smith, Coleman Bryson, Peyton Waters, Caleb Kautz, that have had somewhat meaningful snaps. He's going to be fighting for time, fighting for position. Let's go Jalen Thompson, defensive back, 5'11", 185. I'm going to start out with JJ. Sorry, guys, even though you guys didn't talk on that one, I want to get JJ in here because I feel like he knows Jalen Thompson. He's been around Jalen Thompson a little bit, number 4 this year. I think this is an interesting prospect here for Carolina. I think this is a guy that's got some potential. A junior, right? He's been around the program. JJ, what can we potentially expect? Is this the year that we see Jalen Thompson take the field in a meaningful role?
I honestly would believe so, but this is also a very, very deep, I guess, safety room for him to make that next step continually. And I know he plays safety and he plays corner. But I remember when I was playing, he was also one of those guys that was on scout team. It was Jaden and Jalen always back there, and everybody confused the two all the time for some reason. But both of those guys were always not giving us hell, but playing to that standard of what we should see on Saturday. So he is also one of those guys. Probably he was one of the fastest players on the team, like for sure. I know he's coming out. I think he's from Orlando. I know he's from Florida. Because I know he's a Florida Jet. So I know he's got that speed. He's been able to do this for a long time. But again, for him to take that next step, he has to make more plays. And he's got to be able to get on the field to make those plays. So in practice, he's always been one of those guys to be able, he's a great cover guy, great speed. But I think his kind of thing that lacks for him is just his size. I mean, just his stature. And I mean, it's not his fault. But at this time, there's a lot of other guys in the room that have these kind of builds to where you want to put those guys out on the field first. So for him, he has to know the playbook inside and out, be able to continually understand that, because that's probably going to be his best way to get on the field, is to understand the playbook and have that trust in the defensive coaches to put him out there.
Good stuff, JJ. Troy, talk to me about improvement. What are areas do you feel like Jalen Thompson can improve on going into this year?
Sort of the kind of the same. Sorry, I got my words mixed up there. Sort of kind of the same thing of what I said previously with one of the guys we had just talked about. I think it was Javion, but more of an increase. Actually, it was Peyton. More of an increased role. You're able to really kind of showcase what you can do a little bit more opportunity. I do think if I had to say area of improvement would just be consistency overall. You get more opportunity being able to prove that you can handle a larger workload against stout competition. When you look at the schedule Carolina's got this season, I mean, it's no slouch I mean, we got a tough one. I mean, the guys that we got, the teams that we got coming to Kenan Stadium this season, and then what we've got on the road. I mean, it's no slouch of a schedule. If the teams that we expect and anticipate, that they're going to shape up to what they're going to be, but just being able to handle that larger workload at this point in his career. Probably would also love to see him, showcase his physicality a little bit more. Like I said, that just comes with more opportunity. He's one of those names, though. You talk about, depth at certain positions across that secondary. He's a guy that, could very well, make a bid for something. We saw him a lot last year on special teams, if I'm not mistaken. So he's actually, that was his true freshman season. So, I mean, he's just a guy that more opportunity would lead to, more production. And he's a guy, talk about depth. He's a guy that can very well make a bid for some solid contribution throughout the course of the season. It's a long season.
Trevor, junior here, Jalen Thompson. So there is some tape out there, right? Potentially some tape, right? Because he hasn't seen a lot of action here. But going to this junior year, the tape that we've had available to us, what have you seen on tape from him?
I mean, the biggest thing that stands out is he's fast. JJ mentioned that Florida speed. He's fast. He's a guy that ran track in high school, and he performed at a high level on the track team. So that's the big thing for me. And when he has got opportunities, guys, he hasn't. I mean, last year he finished 9 tackles, 2 pass breakups. I mean, he's made some splashes when he has got a lot of when he hasn't got a lot of opportunities, but it's his junior year now. That room, this is his opportunity, right? There's a lot of veterans that are out of this room. If we're going to see it, we need to see it this year, right? This is his time. And this is a guy that was originally recruited here by the guy that's in Raleigh now, Charlton Warren. So he was one of Mac's guys that are still here, right? And this goes back to kind of what I was saying about Peyton coming from Washington. I mean, that's got to mean something, right? He's one of Mac's guys that are still here with Belichick. They haven't pushed him out, right? So can this be his year when there's plenty of room for playing time? Can he take it and make the most of it? But that's the biggest thing on tape is he's fast. The kid's fast.
All great stuff there. Guys, look, for this next one, I think everybody's chomping at the bit to talk about this one. And that's Kenton Thompson the third. Not the first, not the second, but the third. Kenton Thompson, which I believe is 5-star Trey, right, on Instagram. I love when kids these days, and I shouldn't call them kids, but guys these days have a handle that I can remember, like the $1 million leg that our kicker used to have, but I think he recently changed it. But 5-star Trey, Kenton Thompson the third. This is how we're going to do this one. Don't repeat each other. So if someone takes what you say, too bad. But if it's something on tape, if it's area of improvement, if it's whatever it may be, I want you to be able to cover all sections on this. And I will go first. All I'm going to say, and I think we're all going to agree on it, if there is going to be one true freshman in this room that has legitimate opportunity to play as a freshman, it's him. I think he is the real deal. He is a flip from Miami, and I think he is going to be one. I don't even know if he's going to be fighting to get on the field, right? Or the staff. What's that saying that it's hard for the staff to keep him off the field? I think they already know his role and potentially his role going in leading up to the season, what he's gonna be. I think he's that talented. Trevor Troy, JJ in the private chat said he'll go last. So have at it. Who wants it first? Troy, Trevor?
Hey,
Troy,
Trevor? This is Trevor's guy. If I'm not mistaken, Trevor, you were pretty high on him coming into this season. I'm gonna give the floor to you first to kick us off.
Man, look at these signs of respect.
I appreciate it, Troy, being a gentleman, man. Thank you, sir.
No, he was.
You're right.
You're very high.
You're right.
On
I'm very excited, and the reason for that is there's some guys close to the program I text, and they're like, "Look out for this freshman. It's gonna be hard for him not to play as a freshman." And corners, it's hard to come in and play as a true freshman corner, right? It's a tough position. But you mentioned a flip from Miami, another guy, Florida speed. This kid was one of the highest touted guys that we had, that we went after. And I hope I'm not messing this up because it's been so long since I should have looked at last year, but I want to say he reclassified. I think Pops is in here, reclassified. He's younger. He's a younger kid. And we're already expecting him to make a big time play. But the thing with him too is I like this last night when I was putting the numbers in, number 21, boys. I love a DB that wears number 21, especially being from Florida. But this kid is all over the field, makes plays.
It's Caleb's old number, Caleb Coss.
Yep. He's very good in coverage. Very good in coverage, very good ball skills. There's not really, when I'm looking at his tape, there's not really anything that I would say that I don't like. And that's the reason why when we got him, I was so excited. He's a guy that I want to say, I still remember where I was at when you have some of those guys that commit and you're like, this is a big one. I still remember where I was at when he committed, right?
Where were you?
I was out with my kids.
I don't know. Were you in the
I don't want to mess it up. No, I was out with my kids, and the guy that I know kind of helped with his recruitment, and he was like, "We got something coming for you," and then we talked about it after. So this was a very big guy, and to keep him because he was somebody that Miami didn't want to let go. So to keep him in the fold. And they got money down there in Miami. So we had to work hard for this one. So he's going to be expected when his opportunity calls. I don't think, he's coming in with a lot of pressure on him. He's highly touted, but I think he's got the dog in him. He's going to answer the call.
Troy, what you got?
Yeah, man. I did some quick looking here on a secondary tab that I got pulled up. And I just typed it in. How many freshman players played in the college football playoff last season? And it said there is no exact official league-wide statistic for the exact total of freshmen who played in the playoff as teams address upwards to 70 to 80 players. But some of the notable guys and one that stood out to me is the DB from Oregon, Finney Jr. There were several guys on the secondary across the teams in the college football playoffs that play meaningful snaps. Guys that, and I talk about college football playoffs and I don't throw that out there lightly, but if you're going to be a program that's competing for something truly meaningful, I'm not just talking about ACC championships. That's great. We're talking about bigger picture here. That's what a 8-time winning Super Bowl champion head coach. That's what you get brought here to do. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of ball that fans are wanting to be played in Carolina. But you talk about you look at the amount of freshmen that played notable snaps in meaningful football. You got to have them. Malachi Toney down in Miami. Look at the season that he had, and a few other different names that I'm probably forgetting. But Kenton Dobson is a guy that I think could immediately come in. You talk about freshmen playing meaningful snaps in meaningful football. he's a guy that I think could certainly do that for Carolina this season. You know, we've addressed depth issues at certain positions across the secondary, and I've made mention of it, Trevor, in previous episodes, in some of our quick hitting episodes that we've done in the past. You sprinkle in some of these freshmen that pop, and suddenly the concern that I have in the secondary starts to kind of fade a little bit. You should get some of these highly touted freshmen that actually pan out, and you can get some good contribution from them throughout the season. I'm not going to say that's exactly where I was going with this, and where my thought process was. I'm not going to say that Kenton Dobson is going to start from day one, but I do think that he is a kid and a talent that you give him you give him a sample size, he's going to run with it. You give him an opportunity, he's going to make the most of his opportunity and really take the reins and establish himself. And he's going to be a guy that I think you're going to have to keep him off the field. He's going to force his way into some playing time if it pans out. So he's a special talent. Trevor, you said it. You know, we flipped him from Miami. And we know, what they look for in their defensive guys. So I'm excited for him.
All right, JJ, you said you'll go last, so don't let us down. What you got?
Well, I'm going to be quick. I mean, everyone's already hit the points. My biggest thing is his confidence, just from interviews I've seen him do, the playing style he has from his high school film. And for me, as a football junkie, I am just a fan of Miami, that hub of football players, man. And for him to be a Miami guy, and they pride themselves on going to play at the University of Miami. And for him to be committed there, decommit, and then come to UNC, that had to mean something, that he wants to come here. And in the interview, he said he wants to be on the field day one. So I know he's going to come in here with that confidence, with that chip on his shoulder, saying, okay, like I'm coming here to play for a reason, because I could have went to Miami like all my friends do, or like what a lot of people from Miami do. But he's like, I want to go to UNC and I want to go make an impact right away. Yeah, so like that's what I love. I love players with confidence, and I love the Miami guys, man. They are super confident.
I think it's also a sense of swag too.
Yeah.
Right? Like your guy, Sadler, right? CJ Sadler. I think Belichick and company also targeted the type of players that they're looking for. Some of these young guns that have swag. And I think when we're talking about swag, I think those are two names that jump out to me, CJ Sadler and Kenton Dobson.
I'd love to see those two going against each other at practice. That'd be fun to watch.
All right, let's go to another true freshman I think has some potential to see the field. This is number 30, Giselle Hart, defensive back, 5'11", 180 true freshman. This was a kid that was committed to Penn State, right? But when James Franklin, was let go, found himself now at Virginia Tech, which I think he's probably going to build that program into what they expect football to be there at Virginia Tech. He had the opportunity to potentially go there. I don't know that for a fact. I didn't read up on that, but he chose Carolina, right? Flipped from Penn State, chose Carolina, 3-sport athlete in high school. JJ didn't have much to go from on the last one. As you said, you would go last, so you let all the other guys get it first. So what you got here for Giselle Hart, true freshman, potentially seeing some time on the field?
Yeah, for me, honestly, it's really exciting to see what he'll play at when he comes to UNC. He's a very versatile guy, and in his high school film, he's one of those guys who can play offense, he can play defense, but he's coming here to play DB. And again, like I said earlier, being a DB is one of the hardest things to do, especially as a freshman coming in. So he's going to have to be able to adjust, but I think he has that ability to do it. A little bit on the smaller side, but I mean, of course, when he gets in the weight room with all the strength staff and understands the game a lot more, he should be able to contribute. So for me, honestly, I definitely see him. If he wants to get on the field, for him off rip, he needs to be working on special teams, being a gunner, doing something, kickoff return. But yeah, he is one hell of a player. And like you said, 3-sport athlete. I think when you play as many sports as you can in high school, I think that just makes you even better. And I know basketball, if he especially plays basketball, he's got leaping ability to make a lot of plays as well. And I think it's just going to help him further down the road.
Trevor, do you want what stands out tape or Troy? Which one? Because I think Trevor did quite a bit of study on him on tape. I could be wrong. I'll let you guys fight over that. Which one do you want?
Whatever you want, Trevor.
I can-
good, buddy.
So the thing with him is, I mean, he's got natural ball skills. You mentioned 3-sport athlete. He was highly recruited. Penn State, they are another, just like Miami. They know defense. They go out and find guys. So I was surprised that he didn't follow Franklin to Virginia Tech, to be honest with you, because he was a guy that James Franklin wanted. So he's very smart, very good ball skills. And we were lucky enough to see a little bit of practice at one point. We saw some practice, and I remember seeing this kid lay a hit. As a true freshman, he laid a hit on this play. He came
a hit.
He was playing safety, and he came down and he laid a guy out, and I was like, okay, so this may be another
Fedora when you said that.
This may be another guy that don't be surprised if he don't get some snaps as a true freshman. I don't know at what point of the year, but don't be surprised.
I think it's okay to say what game that was, honestly, because a lot of people know that we were there anyway. We just didn't talk about it publicly because we haven't been allowed to, right? Or I wouldn't say allowed to, but probably being smart shouldn't, right? If we want to continue to have invites. But that was the close.
Out of respect.
Out of respect. But that was the closed spring game, and Trevor is right. He did lay a hit. A hit.
All right.
Sound like Larry Fedora when you said that.
That boy made a play. He's don't be surprised if we don't see him get some snaps this year.
We've had a couple of we've had quite a few. I know of 3. It may be only 3, but of freshmen that have flipped. I mean, we got one that we flipped from Miami, one that we flipped from Penn State, and another one that we flipped from Ohio State. I mean, that's 3 pulls that, I mean, like that, those are wins, you know what I mean? And Giselle's a guy that, JJ, you talk about, liking the Kenton flipping from Miami, that whole Miami hub. I love what Penn State does on defense, that physicality that they play with. Trevor, you and Chris just alluded to the hit that he had in the spring practice. Trevor, I love you, bro. That was just funny when the way you said hit like that. It made me laugh. You talk about the physicality that it takes to play at Penn State, and that those kind of defenses, that Big Ten defense. That's what I'm excited about. It's his, he's another freshman that could find his way onto the field.
What I'm kind of intrigued about too is being 5'11", 180 already as a true freshman, right? A lot of times coming out of high school, these DBs, these safeties, they don't a lot of times known for their weight, right? And already sitting at 180, I feel like personally as a freshman, as a true freshman, is a pretty good weight, right? And getting in there with Moses Cabrera, he's got the opportunity, right, to put on some more size.
Chris, how many times did we hear that when we were talking to parents this spring? How many times did we hear, he's already put on 15 pounds. He's already put on 10 pounds. These are true freshmen, and they're like, this program works. He's already gained so much weight. So that I think we talked to 3-4 different parents, and that was the first thing they told us.
Yep. Calvin's dad. Calvin looks like a freaking beast.
Dog. Yeah. Somebody asked about Jonathan Aguamadu in here. We're going to do our linebacker preview or our linebacker room breakdown later on down in the roster. So we'll get to it. We'll talk about Jonathan and probably Calvin in that. Who knows?
They were thinking about laying a hit. That's what made them think of Jonathan.
Yep, on special teams. Good gracious, boy, that dude laid that cat out.
Hey, I think it's worth noting too. In this, Carolina had put out those episodes of The Process, and Giselle was a guy that was in episode 2, if I'm not mistaken. And he spoke with a confidence, man. I think he's a freshman that's pretty comfortable on campus and has found his way.
Yep. All good stuff. Let's go. Number 38, Julian Juju Burns. Talk about size. You want to talk about size. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about size. 6'3", 194 as a true freshman. JJ. This is a kid from Monroe, Louisiana. I mean, he's coming up here to North Carolina at 6'3", 194. I saw you light up a little bit, set up a little bit in your chair. I feel like you want to talk about Juju. What you got?
For everybody watching, if you want to see somebody lay a bunch of hits over and over again, go watch his Huddle high school tape.
I'm telling you.
Now, I think that was the most recent
dog.
tape I've watched of all the freshmen. Dude is a absolute nut. Like, he's making a lot of plays out there, and it's the fact that he's willing to go make those plays, and he's using his size. Sometimes you get some of these corners that want to come in, and they really don't want to use their size as well, and, you know, they're kind of just being like, oh, well, just because I'm big, I should be able to play. But he's got – at 6'3", I mean – I remember somebody asked earlier in the chat, would you rather go against a fast or a strong DB? And for me, it's I would hate going against a strong DB. Those are the worst, because it all starts at the line of scrimmage. If you can't go off line of scrimmage, you can't be fast. That's what it is. And he has some hard hitting ability. And I know we just talked about hits last time, but go watch that film and you'll understand completely what I'm saying.
Okay, JJ, go a little bit deeper there, because I'll get Troy and Trevor, only one of them on for this one. You said you watched a lot of his film, so go into that a little bit. Outside of the hits, what did you see on film?
I like the fact that he can get into the box as well. He played safety in high school, but he's one of those guys who you probably can flip to maybe a star or nickel position, because he has great ball tracking ability too. He had a lot of picks in his film. And for me, it's just instincts. His instincts were off the charts. Seeing routes come from receivers on the outside before they even break. So he's expecting and not guessing, but knowing that the route is coming inside. So his instincts were, one, jump off the board completely, especially with his size. And he can cover and he can catch the ball. A lot of DBs can't catch. He's making these picks as well. And from being Louisiana, I know it's tough out there. So he's got that dog in him for sure. I know he's got it, because Louisiana really be the trenches too, especially in Monroe. So he got that dog in him. That's for sure.
This is one of those cats that you usually see go to LSU.
Yeah, like I would not be surprised seeing him there.
Hey, You talk about his size though. You said what, 6'3"? I mean, you look at him on field. I mean, you talk about his huddle tape. Dude is built like a junior, a well-experienced junior playing D1 football. I mean, he's got some size to him. I can only imagine what he looks like now after a couple of months in a Moses Cabrera weightlifting program. So,
I mean, you tell me he's a true freshman, right? Someone says, okay, Chris, you got a DB that's a true freshman. He's 6'3". How much do you think he weighs more times than not? I'm going to go 184, 182, 183.
Tall, lanky DB, yeah.
He's probably sitting at 205 and just straight, muscle.
And it's not like a guess. He's all of it. He's all 6'3", 205.
Yeah. He's a certified playmaker on that on the defensive side of the ball, man. He's somebody that's coming to lay the wood too. I mean, he's coming to hit you. Freakish athlete.
He's always around a football too. He filled the stat sheet. That the biggest thing too that stood out to me was he had 11 and a half sacks, right? 29 and a half tackles for loss, 102 tackles his senior year. The kid's got a nose for the football.
Committed to Carolina over Tennessee and Miami. I think those two were the other two that were pretty in play for him.
I mean, yeah, 11 and a half sacks, but what stands out to me the most, you just hit it on the head, Trevor, there's 29 and a half tackles for loss, right?
Living in the backfield.
Let's say if he's missing, he missed on a play, right? He's not giving up a lot of times when it comes to tackles for loss, right? A lot of times those only come sometimes by you miss first, but then you keep tracking them down, right, for that second opportunity. And potentially he did that to get those 29 and a half tackles for loss. So I love this, man. I love this get. He just looks like
a ball player, bro. Looks like somebody that's gonna come down from wherever he's at on the field and just absolutely smack you.
Yeah, so go look at his huddle tape. If you're listening to us, go look at his huddle tape, and then also go look at his commitment photos. There's been two commitment photos that have always stood out to me. It's Trayshawn Ruffin up against the car, right? And he's like this. And he just looks like a massive, massive human being. And then of Juju. Those two have stood out with me since they've started the Carolina Blue race car picks and for commitment picks. And Juju is leaning up against the car like this, and you can just see the frame and size on him. So I love this get. I love this get by the staff here. Let's go number 17, Weatherspoon, a flip from Ohio State, 5'11", 175, true freshman, touted out of high school. Trevor, I'm going to go to you first. Haven't heard from you much on the last one, so I'm going to go to you first. He is an Ohio native, was committed to Ohio State. You know, we had a Miami, committed to Miami. Flip, we had an Ohio kid, committed to Ohio. Flip. Give us a little bit more about Weatherspoon here. What can we potentially expect from him?
Yeah, I mean, you go to Ohio and take a kid from Ohio State. That's just like going to Miami, taking a guy from Miami. It's a huge get. And this is another one that our guy, Armand Hawkins, won over. You talk about elite recruiting, but he's fast. This kid's really fast too. He's not going to fill it up with his size. He's 5'11", 175, but he is elite in terms of the speed, and he's got very good recovery speed. When I watched this film, there wasn't many times that he got beat, but if he did, he made up for it. So that was one of the big things that stood out for me. And he's another guy that you can tell he plays confident. He knew that he was the best guy on the field, and you could tell he played with a little bit of a swagger. So we've got a lot of young guys in this room that we talked about a lot. You know, there's some cause for concern there because there's so many young guys, but he's one of the guys of, you know, a couple we've already talked about tonight that I'm really excited to see what he can turn into, because he was one of the highest rated kids that we went out and got. And I think he's got a very bright future. Now it's just how quick can we get him in tune with that college game? How quick can he see the field?
JJ, when you look at his tape, what stands out to you from his high school tape?
Again, let's call him. Trevor just hit it on the head. Speed off rip. You can tell that he has that track background. He's able to make those plays. And I remember I was on the podcast with you guys earlier in the year, and they had dropped a clip in the spring of him breaking on a pass. He caught the pick, and he took it back to the house in practice. And I was like, yo, who is this kid? And he kind of reminded me of like Clemson's Avion Terrell. They've kind of got that same playing style, being super fast and being able to break extremely well. Both don't have that crazy size that you see usually at this level, at least in the Power 4 level, being a DB, but also has that knack to get to the football as well. It's not like that hard-hitting knack, but when the ball's in the air, because he's so fast, boom, he's right there. And that's why I love to see from him, especially in his tape. And I mean, the Ohio State, getting somebody from Ohio State, man, he was top 10 players in Ohio State, top 100 nationally. So, and Ohio State doesn't miss on defense for a lot of reasons. So for Ohio State to really want this guy and for UNC to actually attain him, and the film backs it up because he continues to make those plays so much. A little small, but again, he makes up for playmaking ability, being able to be a ball hawk, and his speed is going to be his best asset for him to continue to get better at the next level. And I know his 247 page, I mean, I know you're not supposed to always look into it, but I mean, he's a projected draft pick in the third, fourth round. Yeah.
Yep. Troy, talk to me a little bit about potential role here at Carolina. Some people would say he's a true corner. What you got?
With him, I viewed him as more of a safety. We've talked about, you know, safety depth on here at length earlier on in the show. But I think if there's a freshman that could make a bid for some playing time at safety, it would be him. That's what he played naturally in high school, if I'm not mistaken. He's certainly a guy that would need to kind of bulk up some, but you get a guy to flip from Ohio State. Like you said, JJ, he was a very highly touted freshman in the state of Ohio. Where was I going with that? Trevor messed me up in the group chat. But he's a guy, man, that I definitely could see another freshman making a bid for some playing time early and getting. I mean, he was very highly touted. I mean, if you talk about, I feel like the guys that we brought in as freshmen, we are really highly touted at specific spots. You look at Jacob at safety, Kenton Thompson at corner. Those are guys that are really, really high ranked at their respective positions. And I think could definitely make a bid for some significant playing time this season. I love the fact that we got him to flip from Ohio State. I know that was one that Mondo worked really, really hard on, and was able to come to Carolina. So I'm excited for him. I think, like I said, I think he's another freshman to really keep an eye on this season.
Love it. All good stuff, guys. Let's go Juice. Let's go Juice. JJ, I'm going to leave it to you to give me his full name. I'm just going to call him Juice because that's his nickname. I love that nickname. 5'11", 202 pounds. I'm loving some of this size, right?
Yeah.
If we can keep some of these guys around, right? I mean, it is the college era, right? Of, athletics, of just, players being able to, oh, we got a goal, Trevor. We got a goal. What is it? What are we down? 1-2? What we got?
2-1. We finally got one, boys. I didn't think I was going to be able to wave it, but we finally got one.
So
sorry.
Give us a quick update. How many minutes left? Where are we at?
9 minutes left in the third. There's a chance.
There's a chance. Well, let us know. I want to see the towel going again. I want to see the towel going again. But Juice Gordon here, 5'11", 202. But what I was saying is, if we can retain some of these players and Belichick, stays around for another year or two, or keeps doing what he's doing here and getting better, this class that we've brought in, I think, has a lot of potential. Not only from athleticism that we've seen on film, but also size. You can definitely see that Armando had a prototype that he was going after, right? Yes, some are taller, some are bigger, but just size. You see it. I mean, this is the guy, when you turn on his tape, smooth in the hips, fluid in transition, which I love, which I think you got to have in today's game, right? At the DB position. When you turn on tape, JJ, what do you see?
Like you said, I think the biggest thing that steps off the page is how he's so well put together. I mean, he's 5'11", 202. Like, I wasn't even 202 when I first got to college. So him already having that size is something that's going to put him over at the next level, and he's only going to get bigger and stronger. Like you said, his speed was something that really popped off as well. I was just looking at the tape a little bit earlier today, and he's able to really recover. As a DB, sometimes you're going to get beat. It's the inevitable. But how you recover, honestly, is what the best DBs do, is being able to recover really quickly and keeping it really clean. Now, he doesn't have like the crazy stats like some of the other guys that we have coming in. Well, that's because he went to Jackson High School in Alabama. And that team probably had a bunch of studs as well. So for him to be one of the leaders on that team, lead them to a state championship, and again, be one of those captains to where I look up to you because you're going to take us to a state title in Alabama, that says something. And like you said, with Mondo taking these guys and knowing his prototype, I mean, he was a former Alabama commit. So I love that we're going to get guys who could have went to schools that were known for defense and known for having great players in the secondary. And I think he's going to continue. Like you said, hopefully he stays and just continues to get better. But I really like him long term. This is one of my, probably of the freshmen in this class, long term wise, I think he's going to be a really solid playmaker that we can have for the next few years.
Yeah, Trevor, I'm going to come to you. You got my take here in the notes. You wrote some notes down specifically that you wanted to add here. But I think JJ made a great point. 2 of them, right? Previously committed to Alabama. Also, the type of high school that he played at. You've got to be physical at that type of high school, at that type of conference that he's coming from, right? So I love the physicality that he's bringing. Talk to me a little bit more about my take.
Yeah, so he's a guy that he plays confident, natural ball skills. He's not the tallest, but you mentioned, what is he, 202? He uses his frame well. He's got really good traits as a DB, but he will lay a hit. And there's that word again. He will lay a hit, and we continue the trend. Alabama guy, one time committed to Alabama, and we go get him. If we can hit on these cats and keep them around, because you know that there's going to come every year, the era we're in, there's going to come people calling. But this is another guy that JJ did a very good job talking about. He can have a very bright future in Chapel Hill.
I think too in this day and game. Wave it, Trevor.
Nah, is it early already?
Yeah.
I must be delayed.
Big K says wave it. So
wave
you just
it.
wave it.
Let's just wave it. It ain't happened on my screen yet.
He might be
I'm
just joking with you.
No, I'm behind. We must have just tied the game.
Tie ball game right now.
Did we?
Go.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Appreciate you, Big K. I don't know what's up with my internet here.
That'd be so funny if he was actually just
Oh yeah, just happened. There we go,
yeah,
boys. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's
If Big
go.
K was like wave it.
Big K got that high speed internet, Troy. That's
Hey.
what we need.
Yeah, I'm out here in the shed in the Tar Pit studio. Got
Heck
the booster working overtime tonight, fellas.
But what I was going to add there too, I think in this day and age of college ball, right? College athletics, we don't even need all of them to hit, right? I mean, that's just the game anyway. You're not going to have them all hit. Like, I would actually love to know. I mean, that stat is definitely out there somewhere, right? Out of the recruiting class, what is the percentage that actually hit? And when I say hit, I'm not talking about sticking around, but actually turn out to be what you recruited them to be, right? Well,
JJ had some pretty good ones when they were coming in with his class. That they had a lot of them hit.
We had a lot of hits, but we also had some misses too. So I will say that.
I will say when you have this many in this class, you want to have quite a few hits. But man, give me three. Give me three out of this freshman class that hits, and then you add in the transfer portal. You could have a scary DB room for sure. Let's go to our next one. I'm gonna take it to you first, Troy. David Davis, 6 foot DB safety, 191 true freshman, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native. Played at a Christian academy there. Originally committed to Penn State, so another one that was committed to Penn State before flipping to Carolina. Troy, give us what we need to know about David Davis, number 34.
Yeah, another guy that played safety primarily in high school. So you can kind of see, I think the last three guys we've talked to played played primarily safety. I started to see a little bit of a trend. The last two guys we talked about have been pretty speedy guys. Maybe something on the recruiting trail that the staff and the scouting department really kind of hinged on or focused on, I guess, in the recruitment is guys being, pretty fast in the back end of the defense. If you get what I'm saying, being able to cover, the length of the field and whatnot. But David Davis, a guy coming in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like you said, Chris, originally committed to Penn State before flipping to Carolina. I just raved about, what I like with Penn State and their recruits and what they kind of look for in their defensive guys, and those hard hitting, really, really physical guys. Another recruiting win for Mondo in the secondary, multi-phase athlete who played defensive back, running back, and contributed in the return game, and brings really a physical talk about, playing at Penn State, their recruiting profile that they look for in their defensive guys. You got to be physical. You got to have a nose for the football. And I think that's what kind of player that we're getting in David Davis. So certainly a name to kind of watch out for. Maybe a guy that we see in a reserve role, who knows, but certainly a guy that brings a physical edge to Carolina in the secondary.
Look, 2 hours and 5 minutes. No one can question our passion or our due diligence in breaking down these rooms. Anybody else got anything they want to add here?
I'll say he also played quarterback. He went to a Christian school, so he's the best athlete on the field, right? But he's got experience at quarterback. David Davis. I love the name. I just wanted to add that in as a corner. David Davis. Like, it just sounds like he's going to be good. Another trend, Pennsylvania kid going to Penn State, bring him to Carolina.
Gotcha. Love it. Let's go number 20, Xavier Jackson. Well, actually, before we do that, I want to add to that every position group breakdown episode is not going to be this long, right? Just secondary happens to have a ton of players, right? So every episode that we do here on out before the season starts is not going to be this long, just due to the the position numbers, right? But Xavier Jackson, cornerback, 6'1", 188. JJ, what you got for us?
Again, like the length that he has is one of the best things about DBs. And for him to be, it says 6'1", 188. I know I saw somewhere where it said he was 6'2", 190 at one point. But regardless, that's both really, really good size for a freshman just coming in. It said he played at one of the best high schools in the country. I believe it's called Bergen Catholic up in New Jersey. I've heard of it. I'm glad I never played him, but I've definitely heard him. I mean, he's been a really good player. I was trying to look more into his film. I wasn't able to, but I went over to his Twitter and just people rave about this guy and how he's one of those guys you can have. Longevity is going to be amazing for him. He had a lot of good offers coming out. He could have went to Penn State. He could have went to Michigan State. He had a lot of different places he could have went to, but he chose UNC. And the only problem I have about his Twitter is that he got an offer from Minnesota, and it's a picture of me on the ground with a Minnesota DB standing. So I don't like that one. But other than that, I mean, another really good get. Just in terms of just size and having depth in that secondary.
JJ, I will add though, to hopefully make you feel better there. You know how a lot of guys now, when they get an offer, they'll put it out on Twitter and say, got an offer from North Carolina, and they just put up a random picture, right, from the past of a player. I saw one recently, was like, got an offer, appreciate it, you know, that type of thing, and that had you catching a touchdown.
You know what, man? That's awesome, man. I'm glad. You know, I feel like my legacy at UNC recently has been more about everybody figuring out that I was the one who threw the flag at NC State. But you know, it is what it is. I'll take anything I can get at this point.
I saw that last week, man. Someone put that out last week again. They love that clip.
That was a crazy week of college football.
Everybody
was tripping.
It's like, yeah, I think I saw a tweet where it's like, this was it was the craziest week of college football, and it hasn't been like around since, or hasn't been a thing since, or something like that. It's like everybody across the country were planting flags at the 50-yard line, or at least trying to.
Well, and I think that might do, and I don't want to hyperbole it, but the more and more the transfer portal in this day and age of college football, right? This might make me sound like an old head, is that I feel like some of that animosity towards your rivals is leaving us a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that, man. I mean, I stayed at UNC for 4 years. I loved every part of it. So whenever I see guys, you know, like the Will Hardys and like, especially we talked about Caleb Cost earlier, because I want him to do so well because he's given so much to UNC and he wants to be here for 4 years, man. It's just, it's not the same now, but you know, that's a whole another story for another day.
Oh, I got some comments. Okay. Sorry. No, wave the towel. Thought Big K was ahead of us.
Insane play. It was an insane
play. Oh, my word, dude.
He said, is there enough time, JJ, who was the tough DB?
Nate Wiggins from Clemson.
Oh, my word, Freddie Anderson.
Dog.
Hey, didn't you catch a touchdown? Was he on you when you caught that touchdown at Clemson?
Kind of. They were playing cover. It was more of like a cover 3, and I had a post. So I was in his area, but he wouldn't cover me. He fell off on me, but yeah.
That was one of your more hype touchdowns.
Troy, I'm gonna need you to lock in, man. You looking at that Hurricanes game?
Nah, I'm good, man.
All right, number 31, Julian Patterson, 6'2", 183. Troy, what you got for us? What do we need to know? I mean, this is a long, athletic corner out of New Jersey. What do you got for us?
6'2", 183, long athletic corner. Originally committed to Penn State before reopening his recruitment. It turned into a battle between Carolina and Clemson down the stretch. We were able to pull out the win. Huge win for Belichick, Mondo. One of the highest upside defensive backs in this class. Prototypical corner size for a defensive back at 6'2". And like you said, Chris, man, he's long and lanky, dude. Which, I mean, serves you well when you're playing the position that he plays. So, you know, he's another freshman that, you know, certainly adds to that depth at the position. You know, certainly a guy you get in and, you know, just kind of see how he fits.
Love it. JJ, good stuff there, Troy. JJ, Trevor, which one do you want to take for what stands out on tape?
I would say he uses his size very well. JJ had a good point earlier when he was talking about it's hard to use that speed if you can't get off the line. He does a very good job of using his length and making it hard for receivers to get off the line to beat them. And it was a big get to keep him from Clemson, because when he decommitted from Penn State, he was strongly considering us in Clemson, had an official visit to Clemson. I thought we might lose out on him, but our guy closed a deal on him, and there's a reason Clemson wanted him. That's another school. We talk about good defenses. Clemson's been down a few over the past, but I think that they've got a guy that was the DC at, I want to say, Penn State or Ohio State, one of those, schools. He had a tough year last year, but he knows defense. And this kid has definitely got the size and the frame. I would like to see him put on some more weight, and fill out that frame a little bit, but that's natural for a guy coming in as a true freshman. But he's somebody that I think, you mentioned it, if we can hit on some of these kids, it'll pay off. I think we have a good chance of hitting on more than 3. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we do. I think there's some good ball players in this room.
Talk about how I nailed that earlier. I was kind of like, give me a DB, Chris, that's 6'2", 6'3". What would you project his weight to be? And I said 182, 183. And here we are, Julian Patterson, 6'2", 183. True freshman. This is the size I expect, weight-wise, anyway, I should say. All right, for the last 5 minutes, that was our last player there. Hey, great job, guys. Great job. A lot of time there, as we are 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I looked at the clock, almost 11 o'clock. Started at 8:30. We've been after it, boys. And I will say, not many side. I would say not some side roads there,
Thank God.
but not side roads that were long and windy, right? So I think we all did a good job because we knew how many names we had. The last 5 minutes, JJ, Troy, both played college ball at the wide receiver. I said Weaver position, wide receiver position. JJ, I'm gonna go to you first, then Troy, fill in here on the back end. As a wide receiver, what are you looking for when you're lined up against the DB that they could potentially tip their hand or hat to you?
The way their stance is going to give everything away. If you're too heavy on your toes, then I know you're really not going to get off the line of scrimmage well. If you're not playing with your hands at the line of scrimmage, then I know I can use my hands, where I can just swim past you, use my size at the line of scrimmage. But also, if you don't really know what the other players around you are doing, then I'm going to personally scheme my route, because I know my route, but I can adjust it to where, okay, you think you got this half third, you got this back third, or you think you might be in cover 2. Oh, wave the flag. Oh, shit.
No way, dude. No freaking way.
But yeah, man.
Oh, my word.
It hasn't happened on my screen yet, so I'm waiting for it, Big K, with your fast internet.
Big K's coming in.
Carolina. It's a Carolina power play right now.
Man, Big K's got that.
Big K is way ahead of us, Troy. That is insane. There it goes. Let's go, baby. Down 2-0, came all the way back. Close it out, fellas.
This is the game you gotta have.
You have to have it.
So there you go, JJ. So finish that off for me a little bit.
Captain, baby.
I mean, like I said, I'm watching film. If I know your size, I know if you're smaller, I'm gonna use my size. But also, it's like a lot of corners have tails. The way their feet are positioned, their weight distribution on their feet, where their eyes are. A lot of DBs want to get their eyes in the backfield and try to anticipate making a pick. When you're doing that, I just know I'm gonna get in your blind spot. I'm gonna make a route look better than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of DBs do a lot of different things that give off tails. But I mean, for me personally, like I said, it's eyes, number 1, feet, number 2, and then looking on film to see if they are in the right spots to where the whole defense is in their coverage.
JJ, and I remember sometimes you definitely used your size. You definitely did use your size. All right, Iceman.
Quick question. Hold on. Quick question, JJ. How often were you the guys lined up in front of you? Were you letting them hear it? Like, how often is that the junk talking going back and forth, or is it more so?
I talk a lot of shit. I ain't gonna lie, and a lot of DBs too do also. But I probably talked every game. Yeah. I know it, like at one point, at least my senior year, there was like articles saying, JJ Jones talks too much, getting all these personal fouls and unsportsmanlike conduct. That's just how I play. I just like talking shit, even if I'm not playing with. I usually try to back it up most.
I think I remember one specific game.
There was one at Duke that I messed up.
At Duke, and Trevor was like, "We can't have that. Why does JJ do that? And we continue to play him. What are we doing, Lonnie?"
I was mad at one point, JJ. I ain't gonna lie. I was mad.
Sure.
But but next week you went out there and made some plays, bro.
Yeah.
I want to say
I told him
always my dog.
I think I told him something along the lines. I was like, I get it. That's just JJ. I think JJ naturally just talks trash the whole game or something like that. But
Trevor that sideline coaching. Get JJ out, line. Get him out.
Hey, we gonna call it straight, fellas. We gonna. I want JJ. If I mess up on here, JJ, let me hear it. But he backed it up that next week. I don't remember what game it was after, but I was like, all right, yeah.
That was a funny moment. So we talk about. I often have realizations doing this podcast thing. Like if you would have told me 4 seasons ago when I started the Tar Pit that. Just for example, JJ, I remember talking about you and covering you, you know what I mean, on this podcast, man. So if you would have told me then that you'd be sitting here with us talking about this 2026 Carolina team, I would have thought I'd have called you crazy. So it's been cool, man.
So what's Iceman looking for? I would say quite a bit of a different player than probably JJ was, right? I could see Troy in the slot, a lot of shiftiness. JJ shifty as well, but Trevor, Troy here, super shifty. Iceman for a reason. What are you looking for as a wide receiver if DB tipping their hand to you?
So I played more outside receiver, surprisingly, in high school. We didn't really have, I don't know. What they were looking for at receiver. I had it. I just was 5'6", you know what I mean? So but in college I played more in the slot. I was lined up more against linebackers that weren't as shifty laterally. So I was able to really get off the press pretty easily, to be honest with you. It wasn't nothing like crazy, but it was more so just getting to my spot and you weren't going to deny me from that. But like JJ said, man, like that's number one, how a guy's lined up in your stance. The position that I played in college, we had a guy by the name of Ray Bridges, who is probably one of the better athletes that I've ever played with or against or been a teammate of. He was really good, man. So I had an opportunity in college while I played. Ray was out there, first team. He was first one out at slot, and I kind of got in where I fit in, did my thing. So I had a lot better, more of an opportunity to watch who I was going to be lined up against when I did get, when my formation was called, my package was called. I was a slot receiver in at that point. I had a really good opportunity to kind of see who I was working with, and really kind of adjust my game off of that. And really, stance is number one. If I got a guy that's on his toes, I'm gonna adjust my move off the line accordingly. If I see that he's on his heels and his first instinct is to backpedal, then I'm a hit him with something, a little bit off the line and get him to kind of react a little bit to get him off of his game. And then I'm gonna use my size to my advantage, and I'm gonna get up underneath him, stack him, and get to where I need to be. So it's a little bit of where you're playing at, man. I would told you completely different in high school. If a corner's lining up, what was your NFL player comp? There for a while it was Wes Welker, then it turned into Julian Edelman. And then
if you had to ask me that, I would have put $1 million. You would have said Wes Welker, which is crazy.
Yeah. Wes Welker was always my NFL player comp. And then when Switz came into the mix, I all of a sudden became Ryan Switzer. So that was always my guy though. But yeah, Wes Welker was always my NFL player comp. I was just always that possession slot receiver. You know what I mean? That was me.
I got to see some Iceman clips, man.
Hey, ask. I bet we could have a conversation with Larry Fedora, and he'd let you know about old Iceman. I tore some Carolina camps up going into my senior year. They knew me.
He told you you reminded him of Switzer.
Yeah, that was a good story, man. That was probably one of the. I didn't play Division I football, but that was my moment where I knew that if my cards would have played right for me, situations happen. I'm not saying I got in trouble or anything. I was a good kid. I was a good kid in high school. I did my thing, got good grades. It just wasn't in my cards to play at Carolina. But that was my moment where I was like, I could, if I could play D1 football. Ended up going D3 and made the most of it. And it was fun, man.
And here you are, about to be a dad.
Here I am, about to be a dad.
Speaking on Fedora, I thought he was getting a high school job at Cleveland. They got me on that. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
April Fools.
Vegas just tied it up.
He said he loves that Carolina Blue so much that he's committing to Cleveland to play.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, his UFL team had like a Carolina. He was a head coach of a UFL team. I can't remember which one it was, but I want to say that their uniform.
I think it was St.
combo,
Louis. I think.
Yeah, their uniform combo was like a Carolina-ish blue, like a processed blue, something like that.
All right, boys. Look, I do want to do one thing by honoring you guys. I know I do add a little bit of my thoughts here and there, right, throughout tonight's show, because I love to do that as well. I could fill into one of y'all's roles if I wanted to or needed to, but you guys did the hard work tonight, right? I led the conversation. You guys filled in with the expertise that you all three have. And so kudos to all three of y'all being locked in the whole time and just giving us your best, man. I know y'all put in a lot of work leading up to tonight's episode. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes long, maybe one of the longest episodes we've ever done. I don't know. That last year's position group breakdown, theirs were some long ones too. But like I said, all of these are not going to be this long. It just happens that the DB room has a lot of players in it, just like every other team does. And you'll be able to catch individual videos just like last year on the YouTube. We appreciate Big K gets the MVP of the chat tonight, leading the way on letting us know the goals before Troy and Trevor's phones had them. But thank you, JJ. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Trevor. We'll get out of here.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, fellas. It was fun.
Yes, sir. Until next time, go Heels.
Go Heels.
Go Heels.
Thank you for listening to the Tar Pit Podcast, presented by Heels on Franklin. If this episode hit the mark, do us a favor, like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support keeps the podcast rolling. You can find all episodes on the Heels on the Franklin YouTube channel and on Spotify. So whether you like watching or listening, we've got you covered. We will see you next time.